to you. Freedom becoming true. Nobody else like you. Do what you promised to. And I'm so grateful for your love. And all my eyes have seen the wonders of your mystery received. I've tasted what it means. Now nothing else is good enough for me. You're all I need. You're all I need. You're all I need. You're all I need. Oh, I need you. Yeah, I need you. Oh, I need you now. Now I owe it all to you, giving my heart to you. Freedom becoming true. Nobody else like you. Do what you promised to, and I'm so grateful for you. I'm so grateful for your love. I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful. I need you in my life.
What's up, everybody? We are live on a Tuesday night like we do it every Tuesday. You know what it is. We're here in the building in the Lion's Den. I got my brothers with me. We're going to get into it. You know what it is. It's that time of year. It is that June time of year. We're going to talk about it. But make sure you guys hit that like button and share the video as you come into the chat. Drop a comment. Let us know where you're watching from. We hope to see all the Patreon members in there. You're watching Young Lion TV. Let's hit the intro.
Young lion, everywhere I look, they dying. Everywhere I look, they dying. Young lion, everywhere I look, they dying. Everywhere I look, they dying. Young lion, won't you get up and start fighting? Everywhere I look, they're hiding. Young lion.
That's right, Young Lion TV. Live, completely live like we do it so we can see all of the people in the chat. Every Tuesday night we do the live stream where we sit down and talk about what's going on in the world, something that we started many years ago, not even on a stream, just kind of what we used to do every time we got together every night at the gym. We would just have these long conversations about life and all the things that we've learned along the way. And I get to sit down with my brothers and have this conversation all the time. And years later, we still got phones going off in the podcast. But yeah, if that's something that you want to support and get behind and you want to become a part of this and help grow the community of the Young Lions, make sure you go and support us on our Patreon. The link is in the description for that. Shout out to if you're watching on any of the platforms that we're multi-streaming on, where we're on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Twitch. I mean X. Sorry, not Twitter. X. And Rumble. All simultaneously. If you're in any of those platforms, make sure you drop a comment in, hit the like button or whatever it is on that platform that they call it, and share this video with your friends. That is the easiest way for us to beat the algorithm that doesn't like the conversations that we have, because we get a little too real over here. And we've been, ever since day one of this podcast, we've been saying things that are not popular, and they're a little bit easier to say now as culture has shifted. We're going to talk about that today a little bit, but back when we first started the podcast, we were definitely speaking out against things that no one was saying, and
not popular.
Yeah, and telling the truth, being honest, and that's why it's so amazing for us to see the way culture has shifted over the last few years. So we're proud of that.
King the truth and love.
That's right. But yeah, if you want to support, again, Patreon link is in the description. Also, the Cash App is in the description if you want to just send some donations our way and help keep this thing going. where we can keep the light bills on and keep the equipment upgraded and you know, working as we have issues sometimes, technical glitches and all of that stuff. But in the building with me, let's give a shout out to my brothers. I got my Asian brother. I've known this man for over how many years, man? 30, almost 30 years.
Has it been 30
It's
years?
almost been 30 years that I've known you, because I was 16 when I met you.
Yeah.
So
Freshman year?
sophomore year.
Sophomore year.
Sophomore
Was
year,
it sophomore?
yeah. Because that's
Okay,
when I
going
moved to
into
Williamstown.
the summertime.
Yeah,
I saw Jamie after some practice.
yeah.
I saw you walking, and then I saw you at KFC. I'm like, oh, I saw you.
Yeah.
You're the new kid.
I was at soccer practice, and you
You
were
were-
probably at football practice.
yes,
Yeah,
probably.
yeah, man. And you know,
He was very short then.
yeah, that isn't that crazy. I was shorter. I was so short back then.
Oh my God.
5'2".
Yeah, tiny, like midget status. People used to call me Webster.
Yeah.
He was short.
And then the next year you shot up.
No, it wasn't
No.
until senior year.
Senior,
yeah.
the
Well, that's the
end,
next year.
No, we
No.
moved there sophomore year.
Oh, yeah.
the
that's
end
right.
of senior year.
I was junior.
Yeah.
And that's when all the girls started liking them. The end of senior year.
Right, right. Yeah, I remember that. It was very overwhelming.
Yeah, Jamie, before that, he was the little brother.
Yeah, I was just Jake's little
Everybody's-
brother.
Well, you were everybody's little brother.
That's true. That's true. And now you're everybody's big brother. That's funny.
Anyway,
But
sidetrack.
anyway, yeah, he is the coolest Asian in the podcast land. Give it up for Mr. Simone Chang sitting
What's
there
up?
in the Grateful merch. I didn't even shout out the merch. You can get the merch on our merch store, which is on our band's website. That link is also in the description. Get on over there and get the merch. We got Jatan merch and Young Lion merch. As you can see, Jake is rocking the Young Lion hat right now. And you see the little Young Lion book bag behind him there on the wall. And yeah, a lot of stuff going on. He is my big brother, but like I said, he's everybody's big brother. And he is the preacher, the teacher, the people reacher, Jacob Eugene Evans III in the building.
That's such a good. What do you call that?
What?
The preacher, the teacher. Wait, the
People reacher.
the teacher,
The preacher.
the preacher, the
people
people
reacher.
reacher.
Yeah.
Should be on the T-shirt.
Yeah. You don't like it?
I mean, it's one thing when somebody says it about you. I'm not.
He's not gonna wear that wear that around. That's right.
I'm the
the
teacher.
AKA Coach.
That's something Jamal Bryant would wear. And then we gotta give a shout out, holding it down, producing like she always does, doing a great job over there, keeping the camera switched. It's our mother. We love her, Miss Angelique Lopez. Has been holding us down for a few years now. Ever since we moved into the studio here.
Since John left us.
Yeah. Well, did John ever even do the studio? I don't think
No.
he ever even did the studio. No.
Sure.
Yeah, I've been doing it since. I know what.
I feel like he did a few.
Here?
Yeah, I think so.
Maybe the first couple.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's been a few years because I remember going visiting my mom, and when I got back in November, that's when you said we were talking about it. I said, "I'll do it."
Yeah, that's right. And you were nervous. You're like, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm like, it's easy. And it is easy,
Yeah,
right?
I mess up still, but
No, you do a great job. You do a great job.
You do good.
Anyone who does it messes up. Trust me. It's not.
Yes.
It's easy to mess up.
It's easy to get caught up in the
yeah, I
conversation.
Yeah.
do, and I'm like,
And that's
yeah.
half of the, you
Yeah,
know,
no.
I wouldn't say it's a problem. I like it.
Yeah.
I like that you are involved.
Yeah, and she engages in it.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, and then we got to give a shout out to the people in the chat. Shout out to everybody who.
How about
is-
you?
How about you?
Oh yeah, I am. I always forget. Yeah, I am the one trying to navigate all of these clips and everything, trying to hold down the computer and all the producing of the podcast on my end, and I am also every light-skinned guy or red bearded light-skinned white guy that you see that you think I look like. I get it all the time, but I'm really just Jamie Evans.
From the everybody's little brother to
Everybody
everybody that is familiar.
Yeah, right. I know. It's hilarious. But yeah, again, shout out to the people in the chat. Make sure you guys hit the like button, share the video with your friends. It's officially here, guys. June. You know what that means.
Summer's coming.
Summer's coming.
School's over.
School's over. Mom's birthday. Elisa's birthday.
Father's Day.
Father's Day is
Coming
always
up.
that same weekend.
So many things.
But
President Trump's birthday.
that also is the same day as yours. You always remind us. Never let us forget that. But the main thing that you have to recognize is that
No, we don't.
it is Pride Month.
It's not Pride Month.
They have made it a point to, make sure that they have taken the first warm month of the year and turned it into Pride parades and Pride Month and Pride celebrations. And, we watched it go like straight over the top for the last few years. But there's been a huge shift. We're talking about how culture has been changing. We're talking about how, President Trump being voted in was a mandate. Culture has shifted. You're looking at how many Gen Zs and Gen Alphas are identifying as Christians now. Also conservative. Also not really down with all of the Pride Month stuff. And now there's a huge just kind of abandonment of what we had seen over the last, 10 years or so going on this year. And people are mad about it. We can pull this up, Mom. Oh, I got it. I'll do it over here because I got the other view. So someone pointed this out. June 2nd, no rainbow logos, no Pride campaigns, Netflix silent, Disney quiet, Ubisoft ghosted. Looks like corporate Pride Month is canceled. Even the loudest woke warriors seem to be sitting this one out. And you can see, remember all the brands, how they would change all their logos to the rainbows.
Yeah.
Only in America, though. They wouldn't do it for the middle. They would do it in Europe, all the Western countries. But when it goes to Qatar, when it goes to the Middle East, they don't do it. Dubai, they don't do
They
it.
don't want to lose their money.
So there no shifts this year.
Yeah.
You guys remember
It has been quiet. I actually forgot about it.
it wasn't a
Yeah.
huge deal, right?
Yeah. Until I saw somebody that we went to school with. I'm not mentioning any names. They talked about, I'm going to throw up my flag or whatever. I'm paraphrasing. And for all you homophobes. And when I looked at that, I was like, I thought a phobia was something that you're scared of.
Right.
That's the root.
The definition. Yeah.
Yeah, the root of it, right? Latin.
It's fear.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
fear.
Right.
Ain't
Well-
nobody scared of.
Because
Yeah.
like everything, words lose their meaning. And now it's hate, and then hate is fear because what you hate, you fear. That's what they try to say. But and then because it's an identity, that means you hate them, right?
Right.
But,
Or you're afraid of them.
well, you hate them, therefore you're afraid of them.
Okay.
Or you're afraid of them,
Gotcha.
therefore you hate them. See,
Right.
that's like, right? But so that's how they see it, right?
Yeah.
But we don't. The thing is, we don't see it that way
Yeah.
because we don't believe that's your identity.
Yeah.
That's what you believe.
Yes.
We don't believe that. So we're looking at it from a totally different aspect.
Yeah.
Is that, of course, we hate pride. Pride's not a good thing.
Yeah.
Pride.
Pride is supposed to be evil anyway.
Yeah, pride is puffs you up. It's,
Yeah.
it's like the when you put bread, you set it aside, you knead it, and then it does that thing where it puffs
Yeah,
up.
right.
Yeah, that's like pride.
And the idea, the concept of your sexuality, what you're into sexually being your identity has only been around since the late 1800s, early 1900s, the dawn of psychoanalytical, people like Sigmund Freud and people of that ilk that coined the term homosexual to create that identity. And then when you really do the research and look into what they were about and what they were pushing, you start thinking like, okay, what were they really trying to do here?
Yeah.
But yeah, take a look at this. So remember the difference. Remember Target? We showed the whole thing on Target last
Yeah.
year. And
I didn't go to Target when all this was going on.
right.
Like,
Remember
because
we were talking about that. They had the for children. They had the tuck bikinis,
bikini, yeah.
and all that right in the front. And then this year, everything is just American flags, and some people are mad about it. Yeah. You know, some people. I got a lady right here who's not so happy.
She looked like she looked like she's mad.
Yeah.
Happy Pride Month. In my Target that used to have the Pride section, it's now all USA. Yay. It's an amazing.
Why is that a bad thing?
Yeah.
She said it like
It's
that's a
not.
bad thing.
4th of July is coming up.
Yeah.
But that's
It was just Memorial Day.
Right.
that's what's funny because like it just what we were talking about. Pride puffs you up in a way where you think you control more than you actually do, right? And when we think about even this country, we'll lose the country because of our pride.
Yeah.
Right? Because we indulge in the things that we think mean something to us, and we all become selfish. We don't care about people. We don't care about responsibility, and it falls apart.
Yeah.
Because there's people who have to take responsibility.
Yeah.
In this, or else it all falls apart.
But I think like the years of the Marxist kind of ideology being peppered into our ethos is what created a lot of this, because they had to create these classes of oppress and oppressor.
Yeah. Well,
right?
you're always looking to, when you think about it, that's the opposite. So it's not my fault. I won't take responsibility. I'm always looking to point the finger.
Yeah.
I'm always looking to blame somebody else. Right. So then it becomes nobody takes responsibility, because now if we're all fighting and we're all trying to blame, my issues, I've been hurt more than you. I've been wounded more than you. I've been wronged more than you.
Yeah.
And that's what happens, right? Where everybody's, that's now the game.
Yeah.
Right? Who has the most trauma? And that's what we've been dealing with for, especially the past, 5 years, maybe?
You just
strong.
reminded me of the CNN show with the black host that Scott Jennings is on.
Yeah.
Something just went viral with the Navarro lady from The
Anna
View.
Navarro.
Yeah, with some other black dude, and it was it was what you were talking about. They were talking about the immigration now, her people's being oppressed.
Yeah.
And
She was like, "You're gonna tell me about."
She was
oppression."
comparing it to slavery.
Oh, yeah,
and they went at it.
yeah.
They had to go to. They had to cut.
They had to go to commercial.
Commercial.
because it got heated. Yeah, because then she got offended because she realized that she was gonna offend black people if she kept talking. Yeah, it got bad. Shout out to Papa Jeff. He said, I saw something that said June is now Veterans Month. Yeah, I saw people posting that up too. He said the Target think tank said the money is now in the mega merch. That's right. MAGA merch. Yeah. They lost all that money last year. I think they lost like $20 billion or something like that after all the protests.
Bro, you talked about culture shifting.
Yeah.
You talked about it before during Christmas.
Mm-hmm.
What did Target do? Like that year, it was all this feminine stuff.
Yeah.
The Target commercial was what? This
masculine
handsome,
Santa. Yeah.
masculine Santa.
Right.
They're shifting back to
Right.
I
I think the Bud
money.
Light, we watched what happened with Bud Light, how, people were like, the backlash from that and the amount of money they lost.
Mm-hmm.
And then they immediately went back to the horses in America. And,
Yeah.
Because they realized, like, yo, we're not with this anymore. Like, enough is enough.
I don't know. I don't understand. Like, it's like they don't honor, they don't appreciate their, like, what made them successful.
Yeah.
Like,
Their core audience.
yeah, we've seen that with Carhartt, who did the whole gay thing.
Yeah, Gillette.
Harley Davidson, who sponsored
Harley Davidson, yeah.
When you think of Harley Davidson, what do you think of?
You think of white dudes and beards with leather jackets on. Like, you don't
the
think
same thing with Carhartt.
Right.
What do you think of?
Right.
Hardworking people in the,
yeah.
the Midwest or something like that, riding those tractors, you need to wear something warm.
You remember the Gillette commercial that totally was just bashing toxic masculinity the whole time?
Yeah.
It's like your entire audience is men.
Yeah.
And then they had a whole backlash from that too. So I think, like, what happened, and we learned this from the Bud Light thing, is that there's a lot of these women straight out of college that they hired into these positions of like doing these promotions, these campaigns that they because they had these degrees, they think they're smarter than everybody.
Yep.
So they hired them to do these campaigns, and then they failed miserably. And then these people got fired, and now we're looking at it like, okay. And then the Democrats are wondering why they have to spend $20 million on Project Sam to figure out what men want. You know what I mean? Because they can't connect with men anymore. Because they have people like Tim Walz and Kamala Harris running around the country, you know, Dylan Mulvaney, and
that's the key right there. It's easy to say what people want and need, but it's a whole nother thing when you get in there and you actually you're dealing with people every day.
Yeah.
You know, and it's easy to speak at people.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like even like in terms of me coaching soccer, you see that. Like I have to. You can talk of like it's easy for parents to be like, "Oh, we need to be doing this, we need to be doing that," but you got to be able to. If you don't realize that dealing with these kids and the dynamic and understanding them, and then it turns into, okay, are you going to manipulate them to get what you want out of it,
right?
Or do you really want? Do you really want to see growth? Do you really want, like, what do you really want? Mm-hmm. So then that's gonna influence you too. So, and for me, that for people who say they really care, you're gonna start to see, do you really care?
Yeah.
And so many people, they love to talk about it, but they don't engage. Right. In culture, with people, they're not engaging and humbling themselves. Not to say, like, well, what do you want? But how can I help? How can I be of service in terms of like, how can I be of service? Not like, I want to help.
Yeah.
How can I be in service in the way that I think I should be in service to you? Because that's where a lot of people come from, right? And I went to college for this. I went to school for this.
Right.
And then it just becomes, you're not helping. You're just causing more problems. And now these are the people that these like the whole DEI stuff, the programs they had with Starbucks and all this stuff was coming from there. Like we know what people need, we know how to help them, and it just
I'm an expert in diversity.
Yeah.
I studied this in college. I wrote my thesis on diversity.
And they don't know what they're talking about because you're not putting it into practice.
But do you live it in real life?
But that's what But when you do put it into practice,
it doesn't work.
It doesn't work.
Yeah. It causes more problems.
Yeah, because if you try to put laws on people, all they're going to do, it's not like you can change their hearts and minds.
Yeah.
They're just going to hide.
Right.
Yeah.
Find ways around it.
Yeah. That's all it does.
Yeah.
So it's not like leading is actually caring for people and taking the hit that nobody else wants to take.
Right.
You know? Like you got to do it. There's no other way around it.
Yeah.
You know, if you're going to be the first to go in a place, you better be ready to take the most hits.
Yeah.
Because that's just what's going to happen.
Trailblazer. That's
Right.
what they called him, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's why the first shall be last.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It's just funny to see like the Democrats and the left. It's almost like they've totally just been disconnected from reality. Like somehow that party has turned into just like this elitist think tank, like strategist. Because even like this thing we're talking about with Project Sam, like they went into like this luxury hotel for a whole weekend and did this whole think tank and came out with like the worst ideas ever. Yeah. Still like blaming men and like their misogyny and like
it's just like the thing that's going around, the black fatigue.
Yeah.
This is what happens. People get tired.
Yeah.
Because it just becomes unbearable.
Right.
Right? Like, you know,
people will play the game for a little while, but then once you keep throwing more and more rules on them, it's like, all right, I don't want to play anymore.
It's too many. It's too many rules.
Yeah.
Like, you know, like think about it. Whenever we're playing like a game, soccer, and then you get somebody like want to keep changing the rules, and try to fit it for them because
Right.
usually that's what it is, right?
Right.
People are trying to fit it for their
Like
own.
when we play volleyball and Jamie's like, this is the real rules.
Yeah. No,
Yeah.
but sometimes
No, he's
we
serious.
got to be like, all right,
Yeah.
let's establish
Yeah.
we're sticking with that, right?
Right.
Whatever we're gonna do because
Right.
if you keep on going, it just becomes too much, you know. And then it's like nobody
And
wants
it's
to
not
play
fun
anymore.
anymore.
Yeah,
Not fun
it
anymore.
is.
It's
Yeah.
not fun. Why? Because you can't flow.
Yeah.
That's the whole thing. Like we want to play. We want to have fun. We want
Yeah.
to flow. It's not fun.
Yeah. All right, let's continue to watch this lady rant about why America sucks.
American summer. Except for tourism, because tourism's down because no one wants to come here. USA, woo! And honestly, my dad served in the military, and I'd love to be really proud of this nation, but it's hard to be proud of it under Donald Trump. But hey, you know, while you're here, pick up a USA bikini. You know, why not? Yeah, Target's really taken this anti-DEI thing to another level.
Because of American flags. It's so funny because she would be so happy if she was to see a child's tuck bathing suit there, or like a bunch of pride stuff talking about children being happy to be gay and trans. She would be
You look
excited.
crazy.
Yeah, look at that face.
You look
It paused
crazy.
on right there.
Come
Like,
on, man. That is just so ungrateful of everything.
Can't be happy. Like this is the other delusional thing that people don't get about the left that people are tired of. It's like, even when Biden wins, even if Kamala would have won and we would have been like, this is a terrible idea, we would never be like, oh, I can't, I don't want to see an American flag right
Yeah.
now. Like,
Yeah.
what good does that do?
Because then you just give up on your country,
Right.
And then it's bad for everybody.
it's bad for everybody.
That's what we don't understand.
live here.
Yeah. It's so funny, like, just dealing with people. And when I hear people say, like, oh, I'm not talking to them anymore. Like, all right, well, then you're just going to make it uncomfortable for...
right. For everybody.
Like,
yeah.
Okay, you still got to deal with them.
Mhm.
Like, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
let's work this out.
Yeah,
You
like
gotta,
when
you
family
gotta
or
figure this
friends
out.
fight, but it's part of the group.
Yeah.
And you're like, okay, but this is going to just make it awkward for everybody.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, what's the issue? My thing, like, you don't think we can work this out?
Yeah.
Everything can be worked out. I mean, obviously, there's stuff that kind of got to be like, okay, you got to be there, but I love
Yeah.
you from
I
afar
love you
type
from
thing.
afar, yeah.
But yeah, I think we can't. That's what God does for us. What
Mm-hmm.
other ideology gives that to you, where you can actually forgive people, not like by law, but you realize what God did for you.
Forgiving is for you, not for them.
Right.
Yeah.
But you realize what God did for you, and because of that, you realize that you can do it for others.
Yeah.
It's not as hard to
You
like...
didn't deserve it.
Right. Exactly.
So just because you think they don't deserve it doesn't mean you shouldn't do it.
Right.
Yeah. I want to show a little bit more of this what's the change that's been going on. Boise Pride season kickoff canceled due to low attendance. CBS News. This is Idaho.
Good.
People are talking about how the FBI has been instructed that they are not to participate in any during any official business, and they are not allowed to post or participate in any type of pride stuff, because this was last year. They're like marching in parades with FBI uniforms on.
Wow.
So yeah, they've been instructed.
Yo, that's... Like, look at this
And look at
guy.
that.
Yeah,
That
front of
opens the
kids.
doors
This
up
is
to that.
Crazy.
like, how is that? Look, there's kids sitting
In
right
what
there.
way is this not about sex?
Yeah,
How nasty.
Come on, man.
Yeah.
Stop it.
and not just about sex, about perversion.
Yeah.
Just
Like,
perverted.
what? Because that's just you doing that in public.
How do they defend that?
They can't. Pete Hegseth cancels Identity Month celebrations such as Pride Month at the Department of Defense.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Yes.
they shouldn't be doing that. And also, he's getting under fire because that they named a ship after Harvey Milk in the Navy. Yeah. Wow. So Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth has ordered the Navy to strike the name of gay rights activist Harvey Milk from one of its ships, orchestrating the change as Pride Month celebration take place. Because we know more about this guy now.
Yeah. Did he do anything great in the military?
Bro, he was grooming young underage boys.
In the military.
And he was found out to be like, wasn't he like friends with Jim Jones too? Like he's the one that helped him kind of get established.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't.
That's what I was
Jim Jones, the
seeing
rapper?
no.
Jim Jones.
No, but he was, I know he was involved in like grooming an underage boy who ended up killing himself.
Wow.
Yeah.
I might be ignorant, but going back to the tuck bathing suits, I didn't even know what that was.
Yeah, I said that to Mom earlier, and she
I
was
don't
like,
know
"What
what
is
that
that?
was.
What do you mean tuck?" I
Really?
said, "Think
That was
about
like
it." I was like, "Think about it."
We
I
talked
didn't know
about it.
because I know he said that, but I guess it didn't hit my mind. That
Yeah.
That was.
I mean,
Little boys who want
that's
to
the
wear
thing.
want to wear
shouldn't-
bikinis
it
and
shouldn't
tuck
hit your
their
mind.
peepees.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh my
It shouldn't.
gosh.
Yeah. We only go to these dark places because we have to deal with darkness.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
So another story that we have here is Pride Month celebration organizers saying that there's been a major drop off in corporate sponsorship due to Trump's DEI orders. Let's check it out.
There and you're hitting the pavements and you're getting those no's and the doors closed in your face because of the current climate.
As Pride season in the U.S. enters its peak this summer, with World Pride slated to take place in our nation's capital June 7th, LGBTQ organizations across the country are reporting substantial cuts in funding.
What up, Brendan?
Stemming from corporations pulling their support away from sponsoring Pride events. Organizers say it's a direct result from many corporations ending diversity, equity, and inclusion programs in alignment with Trump administration policies.
From last year to this year, it's like a total 180.
Jameer Batiste is with Stonewall Pride Wilton Manors, which will celebrate its 25th year June 14th. Batiste says the event has seen about a 20% decline in corporate support.
We can't go back into the closet.
Bruce Horwich with Miami Beach Pride, which just took place back in April, says it too saw a significant cut in funding from corporations and international visitors.
Progress is made slowly. Unfortunately, right now, it's not 2 steps back or 3 steps back. It's probably about 10 steps back.
It's why organizers are calling on the community and its allies.
Show up.
See, the thing is that they don't realize it's not because of Trump's DEI cutbacks. It's because the climate has shifted. It's because the corporations got so much backlash last year. They lost a lot of money. Because if they made a bunch of money, there's nothing. They would be. What's stopping them from the DEI has nothing to do with them supporting this and stepping up as corporate sponsors.
We were just talking about it, like it started way before Trump even got in.
Yeah.
'Cause, the holiday season, you saw that it was more family oriented.
Yeah.
Lots of commercials about family and
People were actually talking about Christmas, And like we said, the Bud Light thing happened way before Trump.
But they always try to find a way to spin it, and everything is Trump's fault.
Oh, of course.
It's not because the corporations lost all this
Yeah.
money, and their real main goal is to make money.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
they saw that they were making a dumb move.
Brendan said corporate business are only happy to cut back too. Exactly. He said we changed our wording around what we're doing in that area too. And you know who he works for. I'm not going to say it, but that's interesting. Everyone is like, no one is playing that game anymore. I just want to play one more video about this. I got to go back to a throwback, guys. We play it every Pride Month because it just kind of puts everything in perspective. And this is the old Postmates ad.
I knew it.
I had to pull it up.
What are you eating this Pride? Well, if you're a top, it seems like you can eat whatever you want. But if you're a bottom, you're expected to starve?
Uh-oh.
That is gross.
Not this Pride. Introducing the bottom-friendly menu from Postmates.
Bottom-friendly
We
menu,
teamed up with
guys.
Dr. Evan Goldstein from Bespoke Surgical to bring you a menu of bottom-friendly foods backed by science. Insoluble fiber won't help you feel cute, so avoid things like whole grains, wheat bran, cauliflower, potatoes, legumes. Hold up, are you just fully diving into those beans? The problem with these foods is they don't dissolve in water, which could cause a traffic jam in your digestive system, making a mess of your evening. Speaking of messy,
No, we gotta
it's
watch
a good
it.
idea to avoid
This is
dairy.
to send the message. This is to send because they're telling you really going
if you're
on.
going
Yeah.
to eat something insoluble, give your body about 24 hours to process all of it.
Oh my god.
Soluble fibers and protein are the key to having some good, clean fun. These all digest easily and slowly while feeding your
Good clean
gut
fun,
bacteria,
guys.
which makes sushi a great bottom-friendly option. There's no right or wrong way to bottom, but if you're planning on getting peachy this Pride, the bottom-friendly menu on Postmates has the kinds of foods that could keep you feeling good.
Are you organic?
Yeah, that's the bottom friendly menu.
I didn't understand that either.
You didn't. So
You didn't understand that?
I understand it now. 'Cause I'm like,
You didn't understand that before?
why didn't you ask?
because I was like, oh, what the heck? But now I'm
She's
like,
cute.
Brendan said, "What am I even watching?" Yeah, bro, I show it every Pride Month because there's something about when you put it into those real terms for people where it's like, yeah, they have to be cognizant
yeah.
of what they eat
Ugh.
because when you messing around in,
You're not
in that
supposed
back
to.
door,
That just tells you.
yeah,
That tells you everything
Right.
that you're not supposed to be doing.
that's
right.
horrible.
It's-
Like,
it's
they're
made-
telling people that.
That stuff is made for getting rid of stuff.
Right.
But that was actually a.
That's not satire. That is
That's
real,
real commercial.
advertisement from a company called Postmates. I think they went out of business.
They
Have
did.
you guys seen Postmates?
I think they went out of business.
Good.
Yes.
I think this was like 2022 when they did this one. But yeah, this was a
They were
Postmates.
playing. Yeah, it was.
Postmates was like DoorDash, Uber Eats
Yeah.
kind of company.
Bro, I haven't seen this at all.
No.
Like last year, I saw it running actually on social media and
Yeah.
stuff like that.
Wow.
Yeah,
That's why I totally forgot. I actually forgot. The beginning of this month until
something triggered when I was looking at all the stuff. I was like, oh, I got to play the Postmates ad just because it's like when you are just like, oh, inclusivity and let's all just you're not really that type of stuff. I think doesn't enter into people's brain.
No.
Like,
Yeah.
what is really going on? What do they? What do you have to do? Like, it just we've normalized that in so many ways, and it's just
And even medically, can be a problem.
it's a huge problem.
It's a huge
medically.
problem. We know
Doctors
somebody who has talked about
Yes.
that.
Yes,
Ugh.
and many medical people have talked about what they're seeing from that.
Yeah.
Especially when you get older in age. Yeah, but yeah. So the shift has happened. We're not seeing. Hopefully,
Don't play that next year.
hopefully, I don't think I need to. I don't think I need to. But yeah, I think hopefully people are continuing to.
They're gonna fight. People are gonna fight.
Yeah, of course.
Like, you know what I mean? But it's, again, I think a lot of the issue is that people didn't know how to deal with it. Didn't want to deal with it.
Right.
And then it becomes worse and worse and worse. Because when things are popping up, you can't just ignore it.
Yeah.
You have to you got to deal with it. You got to, and what I mean by dealing with it is, I don't mean you like fight it. I mean, you have to speak the truth.
Yeah.
And then people will hide. And but eventually their true colors will come out, but you have to deal with it. Because either they're going to try to fight you on it in terms of logically,
Yeah.
right? Or they're going to hide because they can't fight you on it.
Right. And we're gonna talk about that a little bit with someone trying to make their case.
Yeah. Yeah.
Dude, I saw people because remember when the whole monkeypox thing was about to jump off, and this was like they were getting ready to push that as like a new pandemic. But then when they started realizing what was spreading it and how it was being spread, they're like, okay, squash this. Don't talk about that.
Everything goes back to Kool-Aid.
Yeah,
The Kool-Aid.
That went away.
Dude, it's like, they don't get it. Like, oh, wait.
yeah,
That did go away fast.
right.
That went away fast.
But
Sometimes-
I saw now like they're telling people to like wear your monkeypox scars with pride because people are embarrassed. Because look, dude, it's gross. Like some people get these scars,
and it leaves bad scars.
yeah, because the breakouts are bad, So now they're like, there's this campaign to like be proud about it.
There you go. Pride again. Yeah,
Did you
don't.
hear about that actor that was the voice of, I'm sure you heard King of the Hill.
Uh,
Actor.
which one?
I saw something
Yeah, he
about that.
is he was the voice. His name is Jonathan.
A Boomhauer, right?
Jonathan Joss, and he's gay. And his partner said he was killed because of, they were saying it was homophobic. It was like a homophobic attack, and he was killed. He was one of the voiceovers of King of the Hill. I can't remember which one, but I never watched that anyway.
Okay.
Okay. You just bring a
You
whole
just
thing in.
bringing a whole story.
No, because we're talking about gays and all that.
Yeah, Mom, but like now we gotta like you don't even know what happened, why it happened. So now we gotta I know, but it's like
It's saying because it was a homophobic person. I'm just trying to say they're blaming it on a homophobic.
It could have been.
It could have been.
Now, but
I'm just saying.
Now
like,
we have to research that
Right.
and no, but we'll leave that story where it is.
Yeah.
I wanted to talk a little bit about the drama in the Republican Party. You know, we showed a little bit last week of Elon Musk speaking out a little bit about how he wasn't going to donate to anybody anymore because he was frustrated with the fact that the GOP wasn't going to vote to codify the DOGE cuts that he had recommended to them, which I totally get. Like, this dude put a lot on the line. He donated a lot of money. This was a mandate from the people. We wanted to see these cuts. And then the GOP, you know, of course, like, it's the establishment guys, Lindsey Graham, Mitch McConnell, these types that don't want to make these DOGE cuts because, let's face it, a lot of them are being paid off by these same money laundering schemes, USAID, whatever you name it. These are the people that are making these backdoor deals. Did you see Lindsey Graham just like flew to Ukraine and spent like $800,000 of taxpayer money at some hotels? Like people are talking about using the Logan Act against him and some other senator because they like went to Ukraine without telling anybody.
How do you spend $800,000?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I mean, they need to look into these people.
Yeah.
Wow.
Kind of like what they did in El Salvador.
Yeah.
With a lot of the politicians over
Bukele in front of all of them said, we're going to investigate everybody.
Yeah.
They're investigating me, and we're going to investigate all of them.
And that's
They
like
sat everybody at like a round table.
Yeah.
it should
You're
happen.
getting
Yeah,
investigated.
right.
You're getting
Everybody, we should be transparent
Yes.
about what's going on. Like everybody should be.
right.
You're supposed to be serving the people of this country, but you're serving yourselves.
We're just finding out now. Well, not that we're just finding out. We knew this. We've been saying it forever. But we're finding out now that they were literally openly covering up the fact that the guy who was elected as president was not operating as president and possibly had cancer the entire time, and they were lying about it. And also they knew he was in cognitive decline, and they were just hiding him from staffers and everything.
and lying to us
lying
with
to
media.
us. Yeah.
And just trying to, oh, you're making fun of his stutter.
Yeah, yeah.
You're trying to, it's all psychology. You're
Right.
reverse psychology, trying to.
And now, even with this book, I mean, it seems so calculated because it feels like this book was greenlit by the Democratic establishment, because what they're doing is they're blaming like the progressive wing of the Democrats, and they're trying to put all the blame on Biden and his wife, and like none of them had anything to do with this. The book goes in to say like Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer, no, they were the good guys. They were the ones that called it out as soon as they saw it. Like, get out of here, man.
Even that, like, I think and I think a lot of MAGA Republicans can get caught up in this stuff, like the conspiracy stuff. Well, going too far in blaming people. And like, even if it's true, what I'm saying is like, even like how the whole January 6th thing happened.
Yeah.
And we know, obviously, the FBI was involved, CIA was involved. Like, there was stuff going on there.
They're investigating that now, by the way.
Okay. But my point is that, like, how do you even let them get you there?
Exactly.
You know, and
something else that we called on the podcast early.
Yeah. And that's, we let ourselves get caught up in this stuff of trying to blame because we're mad.
Yeah.
Trying to blame because we're frustrated. And that is where like some of this Christian nationalism stuff gets in the way.
Yeah.
Because you're supposed to be taking your frustrations and bringing them to God.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you don't, you won't be able to see right. And you're going to be biased.
Right.
You know, and you're going to be looking to blame. And you can't take on that responsibility that you need to take on. Just to love people past this crap. Let God be the judge.
Yeah.
You know, vengeance is mine, says the Lord.
Right.
Let God be the judge. But where we're not called to deal with this stuff, because there's people who are called to deal with this stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
But if you're not called to deal with this stuff and you don't know, you just don't know.
Exactly.
Stop jumping to conclusions that you don't know. It might be true, but you don't know.
Right. That's what the QAnon thing was doing.
Right.
Papa Jeff said, I believe they're finding out that there's a lot of Republicans on the take, but they're the same ones that are supporting Trump's policies. What do you do with that? Do you expose them and lose the support? Well, I mean, they didn't support the DOGE cuts, you know, and Trump was the one who appointed Elon as the head of DOGE to get this, to figure out where this waste, fraud, and abuse is at so that we can cut this from our spending. And they went against that. I think a lot of them are afraid to go against Trump now because they realize that the MAGA movement is so like galvanized that if they openly go against Trump, they're at the mercy of getting primaried or losing their election.
And even like this stuff with these rhino Republicans, it becomes the more the fraud becomes obvious, and I think that's the thing that, you know, can be frustrating for Elon Musk, or it can be frustrating, especially for a guy who wants to get stuff done.
Yeah.
But again, for those who are truly, like for believers, we have to see it from a different aspect.
Yeah.
We have to see it from a different place where you can't allow your frustration to want to just deal with people, right? And again, let God do his work. And we'll see. I think we'll see stuff happen because the more you let stuff play out, God knows what he's doing.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know what I mean? And we said it before, like, again, back when we knew, yo, this election, kind of stolen the stuff about Joe Biden. Yo, how are they? All this stuff that now is obvious to people, and even the Democrats are trying to act like
they didn't know.
They didn't know,
or
and now this is me.
The media is trying to act like they were duped by the Democrats. Like, get out of here.
But all they're doing now is running. Yeah, right. They're all just they're trying to run or they're trying to fight.
Point the finger at other people.
Yeah.
It's so obvious, though.
It becomes so obvious.
He's so slimy. I watched
Jake Tapper.
Yeah, Jake Tapper. He's.
Are you talking about me?
Yeah. It's obvious that you knew the whole time. You're a smart guy.
Yeah.
You know, the people saw.
And now all of a sudden he's coming out and talking about the Democratic Party and how they've lost men because they lean too much into the woke stuff. Like I saw him on an interview talking about how, you know, his son, who's 15 years old, said he wants to be a police officer, and like his liberal friends and elite friends are like, oh, so is he a racist? Like, because he wants to be a police officer. And he starts going on this rant about how like this is where the Democrats lose every,body, blah 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 blah. I was like, bro, you were a part of this.
Yeah, you were. You were, buddy.
You were right there.
trying to cancel what Paw Patrol dog, police dog, Chase. Come on, dude.
Get out of here, man.
It's so stupid.
But again, it goes too far.
Yeah.
And you don't even realize what you're doing. Like that Kool-Aid.
That Kool-Aid episode is so great.
It just cracks me up because it's everything that we're seeing.
Right.
In terms of they don't even realize they do all this stuff and everything's done out of fear and anxiety.
Yeah.
Right.
I gotta watch this.
And then
I still haven't
you
seen
have
it.
to watch it. You end up in this doom spiral that there's no getting out of. You can never make a right move.
And that's the thing.
Yeah.
Like that's where you get caught. You get caught up to where there's nothing you can do anymore.
Yeah.
Right? And you just got to concede.
Yeah.
And that's what God does for us. But even that, dude, isn't that better than losing your life?
Yep.
You know what I mean? Isn't that better than that's how gracious God is.
Yeah. Shout out to David Rodriguez. He said, "What's good, fam? All darkness comes to light. for it's just a matter of time. Absolutely. And I think we're going to find out just who all these, because again, people want to, call us Republicans because we're always ragging on the Democrats. We've never claimed to be Republicans, but I think we're going to see exactly.
I'm not a Republican. I'm not registered Republican.
Yeah, me either. I'm independent. But
too.
it's just the fact that you supported Trump makes you a Republican now, and makes you, and now you love all the Republicans. It's like I know that none of them are trustworthy.
Trump, not old school Republican.
Yeah, he's not. But not only that, like Trump makes bad decisions too that I don't agree with. A lot of these like speech laws that they're doing, some of the stuff in this bill, like I don't agree with some of this, like the spending. I agree with Thomas Massey and Rand Paul. Like he's increasing the budget on here. Yeah. I don't agree with that. Yeah. Like we're supposed to be cutting. We voted you in the cut spending, not to increase it by $4 trillion.
And then the fraud that they found, they not going to do anything.
They're not going to do anything.
What was all that about?
Right, and that's where we're at now. That's what I want to get into now. I want to show this from Elon Musk tweeting about the bill. He said, "This guy says if you're just tuning in, Elon Musk is torching the big beautiful bill." And Elon Musk was tweeting out about it. Congress is making America bankrupt. It will massively increase the already gigantic deficit to $2.5 trillion. Now we've realized it's $4 trillion. And he says, "I'm sorry, but I just can't stand it anymore. This massive, outrageous, pork-filled congressional spending bill is disgusting abomination." And you're talking about a guy who has been trying to cut spending because we asked him for it for the last couple months, to the point where his dealerships were being bombed. People were shooting up Teslas. The stock prices dropped drastically. He took a huge hit trying to step up for America, and then he watched Congress just stab him in the back with everything that he's been doing, and now he's stepping away from it. Now he said he's done. We'll watch this clip of him kind of making a joke about it in this interview here.
So, I was like disappointed to see the massive spending bill, frankly, which increases the budget deficit, not just decrease it, and undermines the work that the DOGE team is doing.
I actually thought that when this big, beautiful bill came along. I mean, like, everything he's done on DOGE gets wiped out in the first year.
I think a bill can be big, or it can be beautiful, but I don't know if it can be both. My personal opinion.
Yeah, so he's not happy about the bill. You got people, of course, like Rand Paul and Thomas Massey's saying they're not going to vote for it. And Trump is, openly bashing them on social media, and you got this fight going on between him and Rand Paul and Thomas Massey because they're saying, "I'm not voting for this." And there is good things in the bill, but it's like these are the same things that we criticize the Democrats for. It's like you make this gigantic bill that just is a $5-6 trillion bill, and then you insert a couple things that people like, so that they're forced to vote for it. Like the no tax on tips is in there. There is cuts to the the SNAP programs, which we're going to get into in a little bit, where people are just freaking out over that because they think they're going to lose all their food stamps. But yeah, there's a lot of crazy stuff in here too. Let's watch. Who is this? What's his name? Steve Bannon is talking about why Elon Musk might be mad about this, though. He had a different angle on this. I thought it was interesting.
Shout out to James, by the way.
Article.
Oh, James is in there?
So
what's up, bro? What up, James?
I'm going to turn it over to you.
Hey, man, get on that link if you want.
Baseball for why Elon Musk is attacking the President of the United States. He had a couple of big asks that were turned down, and he's not happy about it. You want to walk through the substance of your article, sir?
Well, two people that I spoke to who have talked to Mr. Musk for a long period of time had said that over time he had a number of asks and he didn't get them, and they were big asks. One of them was specifically in this bill, and it was the electric vehicle tax credit, and that was worth billions. I've looked at the CBO figures. I've looked at the various analyses. I can't tell how many billions it saved, but it's many billions, and Tesla really wanted it. It spent a lot of money lobbying for it, and I'm told that, contrary to what some have suggested, Elon Musk spent a good amount of time and political capital in the White House trying to persuade the president and the bill writers to put this language in the legislation to save that tax credit for electric vehicle purchases. That didn't happen. So that was his one sort of big ask out of the one big beautiful bill that he didn't get. Then he had the special government employee status. He wanted it extended, I'm told. It is set to expire, or it did expire around May 30th. And he was essentially told, look, there's really nothing we can do to truly extend it. And that was one of the things that he sort of wanted to stick around. And don't get me wrong, he also needed to take care of Tesla for a variety of reasons. But nevertheless, that was the second thing. A third thing, Starlink at FAA. FAA has to revamp its air traffic control system. And he wanted to be in line.
That you, James, jumping on? Okay, let me bring you up. Switch the camera on, please, to them.
You want to keep playing it? Or
And to have Starlink take it over, satellite technology, and was told, look, we need fiber optics, and the satellite-based system is not really for air traffic control. We can't just have it limited to that. And also there were conflict of interest appearance problems, and he was essentially told no. Now, the fourth thing happened late Saturday night, which was sort of one of those Trump world or Trump White House whodunits, where the NASA administrator was a longtime Musk ally who Musk had put in there. And at the last minute on Saturday night, Donald Trump canceled him and said, look, I'm not going forward with this. I'm going to pick someone new. Now, there's been a lot of behind-the-scenes White House intrigue over that. Some people say it was specifically done as sort of an FU to Elon Musk. Others deny that that's the case. But nevertheless, it happened. And that was Musk's guy. And so after that, people have pointed out, Musk really soured on the legislation. Prior to that, he had sort of common criticisms that people have with the bill, which is it spends too much of the tax code, the deficits are too big. You played those debates. But what really changed between now and the last time Musk issued his mild criticisms of this legislation was the NASA administrator, or the suggested NASA administrator, Mr. Isaacman, pardon me.
Well, I think he interprets that as a lot of people interpret it, that they're going to broom, because DOGE has basically disappeared, they're going to broom anybody associated at a high level with Elon.
Where's that
Anybody
music
could be in a
coming from?
position to maybe greenlight a contract. This is quite controversial.
That was what was playing?
I don't know. Shout out to the most confusing man in the podcast land, Mr. James Garcia, joining us via remote. Just got home, man. What's going on?
What's going on, brothers?
Man, we sitting here talking about we started off just talking about how the all of the hype around Pride Month has kind of changed this year. We were talking about that, how like all of these mega corporations have taken a hit and realized it's maybe we're not gonna go down that road this year, and we're seeing the change in culture there. But right now we're talking about the bill. We're talking about the fact that there's a lot of back and forth. Some of the people like Thomas Massey, Rand Paul, they're not happy with this bill. And Elon Musk is very discouraged with the fact that the DOGE cuts are not being codified, and pretty much the budget, the deficit that's going to expand by $4 trillion is going to undo a lot of the work that DOGE did, that he sacrificed a lot of money in Tesla stock for. So, this is the part of when we got to call out, when we got to call out the people. We're willing to call out when the people that we voted for are not doing what we wanted. You know what I mean?
Right.
We got to be willing to do that. And we did vote for them to do these DOGE cuts, to find out where the fraud and the waste is happening in the government and who's responsible. And if we have these rhinos in the Republican Party that are bought and paid for, that are gonna block this and not give the American people what they voted for, then we got to call it out. So we're talking about that right now.
No, I agree with you 100%. We, like you said, like once you espouse any kind of conservative ideology, you're immediately tied to the Republican Party.
Yeah.
So people always assume, because people want you to be dogmatic. They want you to either pick a side. So so just because we've said we have conservative viewpoints, we automatically attach to anything they do. We have to like it, or we have to be with it. You know what I mean?
Right.
So I'm glad that I did catch you saying that we're independent. I heard Jake say that too. We're independent. And listen, aside from political party, we have our own minds. We can see we're not so dogmatic on politics that we're like, I'm willing to burn with the ship too. You know what I mean?
Yeah. If Trump does something that I don't agree with, I'm gonna say I'll never be one of those people that's like, I gotta defend this guy no matter what. And like, because my identity is tied to the fact of him being right all the time. Like, no.
But it's kind of giving this thing here where the Elon thing to me is starting to feel like a charade to make it look like they're on the right track. and right as soon as they cleared that hurdle, now it's time to bring in like you said, the bill that they want to pass with all
Yeah.
these extra stuff, and they're doing this exact same thing that they've accused the Democrats of doing, and we have seen them do with the border bill.
Absolutely.
They're doing the exact same thing.
The
It's the
same
same
thing.
formula.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
And
This is what they do, though.
and people like Thomas Massey and Rand Paul have been calling it out for years. And that's why people respect them, because it's like they are honest about the fact that they always try to force these bills through. These giant bills, and Trump tries to use some language that's he thinks everyone's gonna just jump on board with because he's the marketing genius. The one big beautiful bill. It's like, okay,
I'll sell it to them. It'll be easy.
yeah, yeah. I'll just call it beautiful. The beautiful bill.
Everything's not on there, Trump.
Yeah.
That you promised.
Right.
Yeah. And now we're seeing, people like Elon Musk calling it out, saying that this, Congress is going to bankrupt America, like that they're not doing what they said they were going to do.
This dude's take, though, I don't know if you saw James.
Steve Bannon.
Yeah, it just the guy that.
Oh, the guy that was doing it.
Yeah, he just listed everything that that Elon didn't get.
Yeah.
Not the important stuff that he was hired by the Trump administration to do.
Yeah.
And he risked pretty much his whole career. His career would have all of his business could have just burnt down to the ground with him sacrificing his time.
Yeah.
People were bombing his product, bombing his the dealerships.
Yeah.
Right.
They want him dead. And he risked all that for I know how I would feel if I did that and nothing were to come from that.
Yeah.
Well, the Republicans. Go ahead. Sorry.
No, I was just gonna say, I think that you're gonna have operatives that are gonna try to frame it like, well, Elon's just salty because he didn't get what he wanted. He wanted these things, and maybe he did want those things.
Yeah.
But what he's saying is he's upset with the fact that the work that they did with DOGE is gonna be negated.
Yeah. Yeah. Which he has a right to, like he started the whole Tesla thing with the movement of the electric vehicles. Of course he wants, tax breaks for people who bought them.
Yeah.
I mean, that makes sense if, that's the way that he wants to go. They're making it seem like, he's not allowed to feel that way, but the work that he did is all null and void.
Yeah, I mean, of course he's not going to do all that for nothing. But at the end of the day, it's like we don't know what Elon Musk's real agenda was.
Yeah.
But what we wanted was for him to do these DOGE cuts, which he was doing. And now, because of the rhinos in the Republican Party and these establishment elite politicians who are obviously on the take here, they are squashing all of that work.
Yeah.
Right.
And I knew it wasn't going to be that easy, though.
Yeah.
I knew it was going to be. Sorry, James. What were you saying?
No, I was gonna say, part of this is so disheartening, in the sense that we're voting for what we felt was change. I mean, none of us know how any new regime, any new party, any new political regime change is going to really affect us. We don't know. We're not in the cat. We have hopes,
Yeah.
But I can feel like for a lot of people who felt like, what, I'm stepping out on a limb here. I'm going to vote this way, just to kind of get the same old political bait and switch. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I think that this really highlights that we're really beholden to corporation and lobbyists and companies, and because we don't know what's happening behind the scene. But this is very familiar. This is nothing new. And then, like you guys were talking about earlier, was the legacy politician.
Yeah.
That's all this is. You know what I mean? Aside from those two that are calling it out, and his father used to call out a lot of this stuff too, by the way.
Yeah, Ron Paul.
used to call out a lot of this stuff. A lot of people don't want to commit political career suicide because they're afraid that once they get into these positions, they don't really want to do their job. It's just legacy.
Yep.
And so Elon is probably more disheartening because he did go in. I mean, like I said, we don't know the man's heart, but we could see that that's who they highlighted first, and then only to do this after, a couple months after. It seems like a step, 2 steps forward, 3 steps, 3 steps forward, couple steps back. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like, come on, man.
Yeah. And this bill has a lot of stuff. I mean, there's, like I said, there's good stuff in it. A lot of the revisions to, illegal immigrants getting benefits, even like some of the food stamp stuff is good. The SNAP benefit stuff is good. But there's a lot of stuff in there that's questionable. I mean, have you guys seen the AI stuff that was in the bill?
Mm-mm.
I saw people talking about this today, and I was like, "What is that?" There's something in the bill. I'm gonna pull it up here. That it basically, let's see. Someone broke it down here. It says the big beautiful bill, which Trump has touted as pushed Congress to pass, is filled with draconian, absolutely nightmarish provisions surrounding artificial intelligence. Specifically, this bill allows for the federal government to completely put a ban on all 50 states from being able to regulate AI for 10 years. This means that regardless of which states try to stand up to an AI takeover, it would essentially be illegal at the federal level. Of course, we the taxpayers will be funding this madness. So yeah, they have this tucked in the bill where you can't regulate AI for, I think, how long did it say?
10 years.
10 years, yeah. This is it here that they're showing. Authorized Secretary of Commerce shall funds to replace modernized within the department. Yeah. September 25, the modernized, yeah. So, and I saw a lot of people tweeting out about this, how like this is kind of sneaky that they put that in there. And it's like, I guarantee you, and who knows, but Trump is not a guy who knows everything about AI. And he's relying on a lot of people that are still a part of the swamp that are in charge of writing these bills, that are gonna sneak stuff like this in there. And all he's going to do is call it the big, beautiful bill and bash anybody who doesn't want to support it, because that's what Trump does. He did the same thing with the vaccine. Anybody who criticized the vaccine, he bashed them to the point where he was being booed at his own rallies when he brought up the vaccine.
Yeah.
Yes, he was.
But
that
yeah,
was another thing
And I don't think
disagreed.
he still hasn't apologized or acknowledged he was wrong about the vaccine.
No, he hasn't. He hasn't.
I've never heard him.
I don't think he's going to.
Right.
And that's what Jamie was talking about. Like, we're not going to agree. I hated the end of, Trump's last administration, things that he was doing.
Yeah.
The whole vaccine thing.
The entire COVID debacle.
Yeah.
Like him trusting Fauci. We knew from the beginning, like, yo, what are you doing? This guy doesn't know what he's talking about. Yeah, the vaccine, pushing Operation Warp Speed, was it?
Yep.
Yeah, that whole thing, letting the pharmaceutical companies like get this amazing deal that they were getting, guaranteed money. Like that was crazy. Yeah, so there's stuff in the bill that is very questionable.
I don't know everything that's in the bill.
Right.
Because it's they make it that way so you don't know.
Yeah, it's too big for anybody to read. It's big and beautiful.
Jamie, you're more in research than I am. What are the other conservative-based podcasters, the Tim Pools, the others? What are they saying?
They're pretty much saying the same things. Like they're calling out the stuff that they don't like, calling out the fact that this doesn't lower the deficit. It raises the deficit by $4 trillion, which is something that we voted against. They're calling out the fact that it doesn't codify the DOGE cuts. But I think they're doing something. I don't like, there's all these weird tactics in government and Congress and the way that they can like then try to incorporate some other kind of legislation that they put on the desk and then Trump can veto. It's like, so they're doing something to try to still push the DOGE cuts. I know, like, but it's I hear a lot of people. Of course, you got the people that are like, we need to support this no matter what. I don't trust those type of people. You know what I mean?
Yeah. That's who I'm looking for.
Like the Charlie Kirks and people like that. You know what I mean? that will not criticize what Trump is doing. Tim Pool is more like he doesn't care. He gets bashed all the time for not supporting some of Trump's stuff. But yeah, it's interesting times to see. There's still the swamp is still fighting back. You know,
Right?
And
course.
it's good. We had to expect this because they're not going to go down without a fight.
Yeah.
You know,
I said that before because it's like, you know, it seemed a little too easy. They're finding all this this waste and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And it can't be just the Democrats that's getting this money.
Right.
It's a whole
But
swamp, baby.
The Republicans can't be at the USAID building protesting because that would be too all their constituents would be like, wait a minute, what the heck are you doing there?
Yeah.
So they have to do it more subtly. They have to just like, oh, when the bill gets put on our when this gets put on our desk, now we'll vote against it.
Yeah.
Because people don't pay attention to who votes for what. But now people are more aware because of Twitter, X. You know, as soon as that vote went up, people were showed every single Republican that voted against it, and it was all over X. These are the people that voted against the DOGE cuts. You know, and I showed them last week on the podcast.
Who's on there?
Yeah,
Dan
I remember you
Crenshaw.
saying that. Yep, that's true.
Lindsey Graham, Mitch McConnell.
Well, I know those two.
Yeah,
Tim Scott. Yeah,
Tim Scott was on there.
Tim Scott.
Yeah,
Nikki Haley.
Nikki Haley, of course. Yeah,
of course.
Yeah.
No, but at least that's the thing. It's like we have to have people willing to call it out, and because this is the problem. A lot of times, because we're so loyal to party, that we don't even see that we're in the burning building too. You know what I mean? And that's what's happening here. It's like a lot of these Republicans that are claiming that the Democrats have been behaving a certain way for 4 years are now doing the exact same thing.
Yeah.
We could be in the burning building, James, but we got Jesus Christ.
Of course.
Yeah. And then another part of the bill I want to get to before we get to the Jamal Bryant clips is people were freaking out online. I saw so many clips. Let me see if I can find any. I don't think I have any of these, but I don't know if you guys saw them about the food stamps, the SNAP part of.
I didn't watch anything today.
So the main thing that I saw
That's because you're making a whole lot of money.
Before the food stamps part, it was people spazzing out about like this fake story that started getting spread about lowering the age of lowering the age of what a child dependent could be. So like, it's up until 18 now, right? So people were online saying Trump is going to lower the age of dependence to 7 years old, and our children are going to have to work, and we can't claim them on our taxes no more. Like, what kind of 7-year-old is not a dependent? What kind of 8-year-old could take care of themselves? Like, there was all these videos going around. I'm like, what are y'all talking about?
Well,
and of course,
the one I heard.
Go ahead.
The one I heard was if you pay child support, you could claim the child. I heard that. Is that true?
No. That was another lie that was going around. That was during the election. People were saying that. But with the bill, when people were getting into this bill, people were talking about the bill lowers the age of dependence to 7 years old. Any child above 8 is not a legal dependent anymore, and blah blah blah. They're gonna have to.
Sounds.
And in what
stupid.
world? In what world? But people were going off all over TikTok about this. And then when you look into the bill and the wording of the bill, what it actually says is that anyone with a child, once a child is above 7 years old, you now have to go out and find work. You understand?
Okay.
In order to continue to get your SNAP benefits.
Okay.
So you have to, as the parent, you cannot just use them
as you should.
Right.
That's what welfare is. It's supposed to be, just for a time where you're struggling.
Yeah.
And you're able to be supported.
So if you have children, you can get you can get food stamp credits for them children up until the age of 7 years old. That's what it says in the bill. And then after they're 7, then you have to go out and now at least try to find work to continue those benefits. If you
Right.
don't continue to find work, but
Right.
people went on this whole rant.
I saw people saying like, because you know the other thing was you have to work for 80 hours a month.
Yeah, 80 hours a month.
80 hours a month.
Yeah.
That's
That's crazy.
Right?
80
yo,
hours.
just the laziness and,
And,
the privilege.
that's a perfect synopsis of that mindset too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
80 hours a month and you're like freaking out. You read
Yeah,
it wrong and you read it wrong and you
we
go,
got friends who work in retail, and when they hire people like that, I can't work more than
Yeah.
27 hours.
Yep.
I won't get my benefits. That just it puts you in that poverty mentality
Yeah.
that you're not gonna overcome if that's how you're thinking.
Yeah.
Yeah, Liz used to tell me about that all the time. About people that would be like, "Oh, you can't schedule me for this many hours because then I won't get, my government assistance."
Yeah.
mm-hmm.
And it's like, okay, that sounds like a trap.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah,
It is
I-
a trap.
I couldn't find any of those videos about the age being reduced.
David said politicians never have integrity to do what they promise. Never seen one in my lifetime hold any accountability. And Uncle Denny said recessions are coming to cut some of the bill.
Yeah. But there was other things in the SNAP benefits that I saw that were like they're incentivizing married couples. Like if you're married, you actually get more benefits than for single mothers. So single mothers lose benefits early. Married couples get it longer. So they're incentivizing marriage instead of incentivizing you to stay single.
Right.
Because what these women are used to is I can keep having babies as long as I don't have a man in the house. I just keep getting money. So they're disincentivizing those type of lifestyle choices and now incentivizing, okay, if you're a married couple, you can get those benefits for longer.
Right. Which I want to give some context, some added context to that. I've heard that too, Jamie.
Yeah.
We have to give credit where credit's due. That was started where Lyndon Baines Johnson, when he introduced the Great Society,
Absolutely.
was so. This is nothing new as far as like the women feeling like, well, they were told actually the women were told get the man out the house, you get more money, because part of the social working program was the social workers would come around, and if there was a male in the house, then your benefits would get cut. So they were incentivized back then. When Lyndon Baines Johnson was, that was in the 60s,
Yeah.
late 60s,
That
mid
was
60s, right?
69, I believe. 68. 68.
Right.
Yeah.
So his program was called Great Society, and they were pushing that heavily, which was to get the males out of the house. Of course, they came up with their own studies. Oh, it's safety and it's this and it's that and the other thing. But it was really to keep these people essentially generationally on these programs, which is what it did. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's why you see people still fighting for it. They've been on it for generations. We're talking grandmothers, mothers,
Yeah.
granddaughters,
Especially with
great-granddaughters.
Section 8 housing, they pass it down. Like there's no way you should be generationally on Section 8 housing. Like that's insane.
Right.
Generation curse.
And
Yeah.
I've actually met people in the trades working on people's homes where it's from a landlord, and yeah, they have admitted they are definitely on it. But like I said, they were incentivized to do that. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? And
Yeah.
that all really started back then, because social workers would say part of their job was to go in and check in on them, but it was also to make sure that there was not any male figure in the house at all.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And that was part of it. I think I found one of the videos.
The government seems to think that 7-year-olds can run a household nowadays. 7-year-olds, the age of dependency has dropped from 18 to 7.
First of all, I don't know.
7. They think kids can run a household better than some adults now. I guess evidently.
What?
Like, can y'all believe this shit? Listen to this.
So let me put a finer
I don't know who's talking.
It will strip
$18 billion in benefits from households with children. It will harm 1 in 5 kids who rely on SNAP, and it lowers the age by which a child is considered dependent from 18 to 7. No one I know would argue that an 8 or a 10 or a 12-year-old is not dependent on their parents for food, housing, or care.
You see what I'm saying? So they got people
Mm-hmm.
making this false narrative go around, and then you got a bunch of people on TikTok just because there's a ton of people videos just like the one that guy made, like, and I see, you know,
I usually would be like, these people are trolling, but I believe whatever that was.
but they're on there
Some of
like
them may be trolling though.
Of course, yeah, of course.
That
You always
lady
have
know
that.
There's a lot of
that lady know that she's spreading
she's lying, yeah.
But again, like
misinformation.
Yeah.
This is the like just like this is trauma response. Like that's the problem with TikTok. You can
Yeah.
jump on, make a video, and just
And it spreads.
continue
Yep.
the trauma spreading of triggering fear in people, and it's straight lies because you didn't take enough time to actually
Read
look at
with-
something,
yeah.
research it, because it's irresponsible, and you're just running with something because you're mad and you want to prove somebody this is BS.
Yep. But let's look at some of the reactions from people that don't want to lose their food stamps. I got a few of these that I found.
I feel like food stamps should be mandatory for mothers that have one or
Mothers.
more child. Stay with me now. If
Staying with you, girl.
we are qualified to receive a certain amount of money during tax time, as long as we don't go over that income bracket, we should qualify for food stamps every month for these children. I have 2 boys. Food hate to see them coming. When I say I stay in Walmart, Walmart need to go ahead and sponsor me, because I be up in there every other day. I just made groceries a few days ago. I had to go back to the store today. So all I'm saying is, if we are entitled to claim our children on our income taxes every year so we can receive a little bit of extra money, I need the government to have that same energy, and I need them to give us at least $100 per child.
She don't understand how taxes work. She don't
Nothing.
understand how
Accountability. How
Yeah.
about accountability of having kids,
right,
or being an adult?
bruh. Like,
I don't know.
Let's check out another one.
They cut my motherfucking food stamps to $85 fucking dollars from $738. How the fuck that's supposed to support a household of 3?
She got $780
Yeah.
a month.
Yep. Wow. Yep. This girl, she went on this whole rant about how she was telling people they stupid if they don't get food stamps. Hold on, let's just show this real quick.
Hey girl, how you get food stamps? I wish I get food stamps. Bitch, you better start lying. Bitch, that lady called me and said, ma'am, I said, yes, ma'am. She'll say, what's your address? I said, ma'am, I don't have no address. I've been homeless for 3, 4, 5 months. I have nothing. My family won't let me stay with you, ma'am. I'm starving. While I'm kicked back in a motherfucking 3-bedroom and everything, living lovely. Then she gonna say, ma'am, what's your job? I say, ma'am, they won't hire me anywhere. I don't have no job. I've been putting application after application. It's just like nothing work. Yeah, that lady was on the phone. She said, ma'am, I'm so sorry for all this that you're going through. She said, we just shipped your card out. You should have about $1,000 on your card from last month and this month, and your balance and your payment every month is gonna be $300. And bitch, I was like, thank you so much, ma'am. Like, you just don't understand how hungry I've been.
Hungry?
Let me tell y'all something. This was wrong with y'all. I know y'all mama ain't tell y'all. Bitch, you don't gotta tell everybody the motherfucking truth.
Mm-hmm. Well, how do you think that worked out for her? Let's get a little update.
That I got on TikTok telling y'all about the food stamps. Do y'all remember that time I got on here and told y'all about the food stamps? Why the fuck did they turn my food stamps off? And I gotta pay back $35,000.
$35,000.
They turned my food stamps off and I gotta pay back $35,000. Now I'm fucking aggravated because how y'all didn't know I was playing on here? Y'all just running with shit. But them motherfuckers really turned my goddamn food stamps off, and I have to pay them back $35,000. I don't know where the hell I'm gonna get $35,000 from, but I have to pay them back. So y'all, Watch what y'all put on the internet because everything is not for the internet. And I learned that.
Oh gosh.
Yeah, buddy.
You think that's real?
Yeah, that's real. I've been seeing a lot of these videos of people showing what they use food stamps for.
Sugar.
This is another part of the bill that they're not allowed to use the money on sugary drinks anymore.
Good.
And a lot of people are mad about that. Like, look at this.
And we can go on about our day without any issues. Get some biscuit.
Trash food.
I'm gonna get these for me. Beef stew in our house. Most of the time, 2 cans. Everybody cooks separate sometimes. Oh, that's 6. Oh, see if I can put it in here. I'm gonna get 2 though. 1. We don't cook it like that, so.
Yeah. Full of groceries.
Well,
But
she looked like she eat all that.
Hell up and sit down some fucking way because when I get my food stamps, I buy food with my food stamps. I like to buy Pepsi because that's what I drink. Pepsi. I buy 2-liter Pepsis every time I go to the market. And I like snacks. I like to snack. The kids like to snack. So who is you to tell us that we can't buy Pepsis and sodas with our stamps? We should be able to get what the hell we want to get with our food stamps.
It's not your money, though.
Cut everything and talking about we could just buy food. So we supposed to spend money to buy the sodas and the snacks. Just to have sodas and Kool-Aid and snacks and juice and stuff in the house for the adults and the children.
Yeah. This is when
will it take effect? Because
this is when you realize, or you should realize, that
this is not working
as you see it, that people don't appreciate anything.
Yeah.
And they're just going to take and take and take.
When you set up people in these type of systems, after a while, they just become entitled to it.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
They don't see it as like, okay, these are taxpayer dollars helping me. People are giving me this. This is charity, pretty much.
Yeah.
They see it as. Go ahead.
No, I'm saying the second girl you played, that's a perfect example of it.
Yeah.
She was serious.
Mm-hmm.
That wasn't a joke. She was serious. She didn't think anything was going to happen.
Right.
That's that's how a lot of people feel. Maybe people aren't as bold as she is, but that's how a lot of people feel.
Yeah.
You gotta think, like, trade. The way people would receive things is through trade, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or money.
Right.
But the thing is, like, you got nothing to trade.
Yeah.
You got nothing.
Yeah.
You know, like, there's like, I was thinking about this the other day, how people would always bring up artists, crazy, what are they called? Their contracts. Their contracts when you have a show. What's it called?
Rider,
thank
Yeah,
you.
right.
They're crazy riders, right? Where it's like they want this and they want that.
want only green M&Ms.
Yeah.
You hear that all the time.
And the thing is, it's not that, like, from us understanding how
Yeah.
these people will do you.
Yeah.
They're just holding them to a higher standard because they know they're not going to get that.
Yeah.
But they want it to be at least something that is in the vicinity.
It's the big ask.
Because then you can sue them
right
in your contract if you
Right.
don't, you know.
Yeah.
So they ask them big because then they might not do that. But if they go crazy low,
Yeah.
then, you know, you can sue them.
And I've heard a lot of artists and even managers mention that too. That like the whole story of the myth of the green M&Ms thing comes from sometimes you put these little Easter eggs in your rider to make sure that the people are actually paying attention and,
Right.
and going through it. Because when you
Yeah.
get that phone call and they say like, you guys really only want green M&Ms, then you tell them like, no, it's fine.
Yeah.
We don't need that.
Right.
But it's like you need them to give you that phone call so you know that they're going through it, you know, because otherwise you'll show up. And it's we've been there. How many times have we been there where the rider is just completely ignored?
Yeah.
You know,
I would say 95% of the time.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I just brought that up because there's an incentive there
Yeah.
to do it. Like,
Right.
because you're doing something, there's a trade-off,
Mhm.
right? you don't got no trade-off.
You don't have no trade-off.
So whatever, you should be happy that they actually care about you and don't want you.
Not letting you starve.
Don't want you to eat whatever.
Right.
Kill yourself.
Sugary foods and bad foods.
Like the stuff that
Yeah.
is going to harm you quicker and
Right.
your kids.
Yeah.
Like they're trying. If you got to get stuff, you can't be mad at what they're giving you.
Right. Yeah.
It's privilege, man.
Food stamps,
It's our money.
You don't pay for that.
But that's the thing. Like, just like James was talking about, that girl who was definitely serious about lying about they look at it like the government has all this money, so why can't I get some of it? They don't look at it like, no, this is
Government
the taxpayers.
has no money.
Yeah, they're like, everybody else get money, I should get some too.
Yo, even America is such a good country, right? Not perfect. That even the poor people are
fat,
privileged and fat, and have internet, have running water,
iPhones,
cell phones.
Yeah,
come on, man.
Air conditioning. Yeah. But there's a lot of fraud, like we saw with that girl, when it comes to food stamps, these benefits that people get. Like there's a ton of illegal immigrants. A lot of that was written into the bill too, where they can't get access to these. How many times did we see the stories where they had EBT cards with thousands of dollars on them? These illegal immigrants.
Yeah.
So
the Venezuelan guy.
Yeah.
The Venezuelan guy, the gang member who basically made videos saying, "Hey, come to America. They give you free cards."
These people are not smart. You making videos.
Yeah.
You need to be lying to the government.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they got him, that Venezuelan guy.
No, they definitely got him, but I'm saying he got in because of that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, and then there's like even bigger scandals, which I want to show you guys this story because this is crazy. So a USDA employee, someone who is in charge of finding out who is using SNAP benefits fraudulently, just got arrested for this whole multi-million-dollar fraud operation that they were running through our government. Check out the story.
This is one of the largest food stamp fraud cases in U.S. history, and one of the people running the whole entire scheme was a government USDA employee. It was announced today, Thursday, May 29th, by the U.S. Attorney's Office of the Southern District of New York. Arlissa Davis, one of the named alleged co-conspirators, worked for the USDA for over 38 years, and her job was to identify SNAP benefit fraud. She's being accused of selling hundreds of EBT cards that accounted for over $36 million in fraudulent SNAP benefit redemptions. Her co-conspirator, Michael Kehoe, is being accused of setting up a network of over 160 EBT terminals across all various stores in New York, and even allowing these stolen EBT cards to redeem cash. The SNAP program uses federal tax dollars to help low-income families buy food. So this is a $66 million abuse of the program and is literally taking away food from people that need it most. The 6 people that are allegedly responsible for orchestrating this scheme are looking at up to 45 years in prison and are being charged with conspiracy to steal government funds and misappropriate USDA benefits, as well as theft of government funds. As always, I want to hear what you think about all of this.
And of course, I went and looked up the articles and all of this and did my own research on it. There's tons of articles on this that people can look into the story. It's 100% true. This woman worked for the USDA, was a part of finding the fraud and abuse in the SNAP benefit program, and was sending out these terminals to all of these locations that would process these stolen EBT cards that she was selling to people, and $60 million worth of fraud that, again, not only is that taking away from people that really need it, it's also stealing taxpayer money. Because where does that money come from?
Yeah,
it's not just invented out of thin air.
Do you think they're going to put her away for 45 years?
I don't know.
That's why they need to be looked into every year, every other year.
Yeah.
There's so much there's so much
We have no
scandalous.
oversight. We have no oversight
That's
going
what the
on.
government.
That's what we're learning.
That's what DOGE.
We're learning that there is no oversight going on with what they're doing with our money. It's just being spent willy nilly. No trail.
38 years she worked.
38 years she worked there.
So she knows every like little loophole.
Yep.
Like I can get away with this. They're not keeping track of anything. I mean that's how people. That's how people, take advantage.
And although it's easy to blame her, which she's wrong, but that speaks more to the government agency that's above that don't have proper auditing and reviewing of how things work. Because it's easy to say this one employee did this, but if we don't stop and say, okay, well, where are the failure points and where are the audits? How come this was able to happen for so long?
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Where's the failure? Because to me, one of the things that sucks about the news and people's idea of the news is they focus more on the effect than they do the cause. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so it's easy to be like, all right, she's the scapegoat. We're going to throw her in jail. She's going to get 45 years. Okay, great. But you still have the same system that created her.
Right.
Yeah.
Where's the auditing? Where's the oversight? Like, where are those things
How did
to
she get
ensure
caught?
that this don't happen again?
DOGE?
No. I think they said like they had someone snitched and then like it got out and then they set them up and they were following them and investigating them and they found out that way because they were doing it for years.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that's what we were just saying, James. Like there's no oversight.
Yeah.
This shows how our government has no real oversight over the funds, and I think like that's another frustrating part about what Elon Musk was doing with DOGE is the fact that they were bringing that accountability to a lot of these. When you look at USAID, your USDA, the FDA, like all these places that are just even FEMA, like these places that are just where is the money going? No one can figure it out. The Pentagon, like where's the money going? They lose their audit. They fail their audit every year. So then when you see that he's now walking away, he's discouraged. It shows you like, okay, this beast is a little bit bigger than we even thought.
Yeah.
I want to show one more story of fraud. This involves illegal immigrants stealing SNAP benefits. Real quick.
No, listen. Sorry?
On the screen in Franklin County Common Pleas Court, Ayanat Bizga, one of the 3 accused of stealing hundreds of thousands of dollars out of Ohio's Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, or SNAP.
You understand? Yes, I understand. I mean, no. Tell them.
Due to a language barrier, a judge continued his case and the case of Dowena Maria Baselan that involves 5 counts stating they engaged in a criminal enterprise starting last summer to steal more than $150,000 worth of welfare benefits. It's at that same time
Taking a gentleman unconscious.
Bizga crashed his minivan into a Columbus fire hydrant and was rushed to OSU East. Officers couldn't find an ID for Bizga, and he was cited for not having a driver's license.
Looks like a temp tag out of Texas. That don't look legit.
Officers couldn't match the temp tag from Texas in any database. Another plate from Virginia was found inside the van.
Pleases the court that your client does have an ICE holder.
The Ohio Department of Job and Family Services has reported losing $17 million in SNAP benefits due to fraud and theft since the summer of 2023.
So, again, that's just Ohio.
7
This
million.
guy got caught because he got into a car accident. Imagine if he didn't crash his car.
Yeah.
He's an illegal immigrant, stealing SNAP benefits, $150,000 fraud.
People sell them all the time.
But this is what I'm saying. Like, so there is clearly something that needs to be done with this whole process.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of holes in it that people are stealing. People are.
Right.
The fraud is out of control.
Right. And sometimes, like I said, to reiterate the point, sometimes we're just pleased with the criminal getting caught. We're not actually looking for an investigation to find out how deep does this go. We're just
Yeah.
happy with like they got caught.
Yeah.
End of story.
That bad guy went to jail or got deported or
Mhm.
whatever's going to happen to him, but no.
Yeah.
Right, and which is like I said, twofold, because you'll see these things being highlighted in the news. But if you think that it's just lowly employees that are stealing and not people in high places too, because they just want you to see the surface. They don't want you to see anything beyond that. You know what I
Right.
mean?
Right. Yeah, man. All right. I want to get into, I got some, Jake sent me some videos. This is Jamal Bryant interviewing a gay bishop. And he's going to.
No, he's not a gay bishop.
What is he? What is he?
He's starting stuff.
Yeah, he's a doctor of something. I don't know.
Is he? He's a gay doctor?
I thought he was a bishop.
No.
No?
Is he gay though?
No, I was just telling you of his story where he visited that gay bishop that he was apologizing to.
Okay.
Remember we talked about that before?
Right.
Wait, who's gay?
He is gay.
He is gay, yes.
You are gay. Why are you gay? Anyway, Jamal Bryant, who gets a little zesty himself. Did you guys see that interview where he was talking to Cam Newton, complimenting his legs?
Yes.
It was very, very. That was very, very weird.
Yeah, he was talking about moisturizing.
Yeah.
Come on, bro.
Anyway, so let's play this clip. It's going to be kind of degraded quality, but all right, here we go.
Logically, it doesn't work for me when people suggest that we are choosing an additional form of oppression, right? This is usually how it comes up in the church, which is, if that's a thought you have, ask God to pray it away.
So
if that's a thought
real quick, just the context. He's talking about people who are dealing with same-sex attraction. That's how I'll say it. In the church.
In the church.
Right.
Something that is a big issue in the black church, especially.
Right.
Okay. So he's addressing that in what he's talking about right here. Okay.
People suggest that we are choosing an additional form of oppression, right? This is usually how it comes up in the church, which is, if that's a thought you have, ask God to pray it away. Yes. If that's a thought you have, suppress it and move beyond it. I would ask people until I was blue in the face in church on Sunday, on Tuesday, or Wednesday, why would God make me this way? Just why? And if you can't answer that question for me, why can't you just show up in love? Wow.
He has nothing else to say but wow to that.
Yeah.
That's funny because I said that to you on the phone, like that I hear that from people a lot of times. Why would God make me this way?
Yeah.
God didn't make you that way, bro.
But I said to you, couldn't a pedophile say the same thing? Couldn't a murderer?
Yeah.
A rapist who has these impulses that feels like I didn't choose these. This is just how I can't do anything about it. Like, why would God make me this way?
Yeah.
You know, so if God made me this way, that must mean that I'm supposed to be this way.
This guy's a long time advocate for this kind of thing. He was the guy who, you remember that interview on the Breakfast Club with Malik Yoba when he was talking about he's trans attracted?
Yes.
He's one of them. He was one along with the Puerto Rican
Oh,
transsexual.
he was there with the with the crew?
Yeah,
he was there with Malik Yoba.
Oh, okay.
And again, this Jamal Bryant is bringing him on saying, educate me. This is how he said. Like,
so Jamal Bryant is interviewing him saying like, I want to learn
He wants
from
to
you.
learn more.
Yes.
I want to learn how I've fallen short.
Yeah. But again, like, this is the same Jamal Bryant that had Kamala Harris at his church praising her.
Yeah.
This is the same Jamal Bryant that thinks that abortion should be paraded as a right for women. This is the same Jamal Bryant that let Slovey prophesy to him. Like, this is the same Jamal Bryant. I mean, how many think they wanted to do a weed farm?
Right.
You know, this is the same Jamal
He
Bryant.
wanted to do a weed farm?
Yeah.
But I want to show this because there is the black church, and then, like I said this to Jamie, and then there are black people who go to church. But this is the black church.
Mm-hmm.
This is the black church that he's a part of in that way is like the mainline church.
Right.
It's
and
becoming
it's a
more
big
and more.
club. And like you were saying on the phone, and we've talked about it on here many times, they are very much into their fraternities.
Mm-hmm.
And
That's what I was going to point out too.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, they're both from the same fraternity.
They're both in the
That's
same
exactly
fraternity.
what. Yep.
Yeah.
They're fraternity members.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's funny because even that concept of like, you educate me on what's going on in your community. I saw that same language with a Dwayne Wade interview when he was talking about his son that's a girl, whichever, that he loves to just sit down and be like, you tell me what you're dealing with and you educate me.
Wow.
Yeah.
And I have no problem with listening to somebody.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with that. But to act like they have some type of wisdom because they've lived this thing, that's not true.
Right.
Your lived experience doesn't then transfer into actual wisdom. You know what I mean? That's not how it works.
Don't make it truth either.
Doesn't make it truth. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because, and that's where us as human beings have to submit, to God. And for me, he's wanting what I see from him and most people that are like him is they want God to submit to them and how they feel.
Right.
And they turn God into their own image.
Yeah. Which you see happening a lot more with the New Age movement.
Yeah.
And this concept of turning Jesus into less of a deity and more of just a philosophizer in a way.
Yeah, more of an ascended being.
Yeah.
In a sense, like, somebody who has come to enter us into enlightenment. And for this, it's love, But love is defined by them. It's not defined by God.
Yeah. All right, let's keep going.
And
Go ahead.
I'm sorry. I was gonna say, and I hate to say it like this, but I can't help but think because I watched this clip too myself. I can't help but think that Jamal Bryant inherited New Birth, which was Eddie Long's former church before he passed away.
Mm-hmm.
And this church is in Atlanta. It's a big staple. But he was embroiled in scandal of a homosexual nature. You know what I mean?
Right.
And so here, Jamal Bryant, who left Baltimore, a man who's involved in multiple affairs and things like that, and here he is taking up this kind of like, come to me and tell me your woes. I want to apologize.
Yeah.
Because he's even done that. He's apologized for the way the church has shunned or disconnected themselves from homosexuality. I don't know if he's mentioning his church or just the body of Christ as he feels he's speaking towards it,
Yeah.
But I have heard him say that because he's trying to get more onto the podcast platform kind of thing.
Yeah.
And so he's bringing on these people, like I said.
And
this
he's in
guy
Atlanta,
happens to
so
be-
who's going to be
he's in
his
Atlanta,
main?
That's true.
Who's going to be a huge, bulk of his church membership?
Right.
The
Right.
community he's trying to ingratiate himself with right now.
Right. Because he's positioned himself as someone speaking up and sort of like bridging that gap between the church and homosexuality.
Right.
He's totally embraced the role.
I see. Let's keep going with this.
All this matters for me because we know the consequence of what happens when our babies aren't loved. Asa Hilliard is a sociologist, a black man. He says, I've never met a child in particular, a black child who is not a genius. There's no secret diet we support that we first acknowledge them as human and we second support them with love. How many black babies do you know who have never known love? A lot. Too many. Yeah. And the consequence of that, especially for kids who identify as LGBTQIA+ or same gender loving, or more often, it's the case that kids are not adhering to gender expectations. They're not wearing dresses because that's what girls are supposed to do. They're not playing with balls and trucks because that's what boys are supposed to do.
I just want to say, like, how do you equate the two?
Yeah.
How do you, and he flip-flops so many times in this, but it's just like, so you're saying that, are you saying that all black people deal with gender issues, or is the gender roles the problem in black society?
Right.
Like in black communities or black culture? that we put these gender roles on people. You know, like what are you getting at? And to me, that's what he's getting at. But then at the same time, later on, he talks about like how the right tries to emphasize the whole trans thing and you know, the sports, like trans in sports, and then he says, but it's such a small percentage.
Yeah.
Like, you get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, if it's such a small percentage, then how is it such a big issue in black communities?
Right.
It doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
You know?
You're right. Like it's such a small percentage, but it's a huge problem on one end to you, but it's a small problem on the other end.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Now, I wanted to point out something real quick. I think that sometimes people like Jamal Bryant, people who have a built-in status, although they're trying to create this kind of like I'm coming in peace to learn, what they're really doing is they're creating a patient. They're creating a facility, and they're the ones that can provide the comfort along with your money.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He sees the demographic that he can attach himself to, because
Yep.
it's like, I remember watching this whole thing you were talking earlier about, just to tie the DOGE thing in here and the cuts. And this one landlord was saying how it sucks for him that this is all happening because he could no longer build his financial empire off of Section 8.
Mm.
It's not so much that he cares about, and he's a black man, by the way. It's not so much that he cares about his people. He cares that it's getting cut because he doesn't want to see people off the program and living full lives. He wants this to continue so he could get rich. He could build. He kept on saying, "My portfolio."
Right.
You're a landlord, dude. You're a slumlord.
Yeah.
He's talking about my financial portfolio. He's wording it as portfolio, but really, he just wants to get rich off of Section 8.
Yeah.
And so guys like Jamal Bryant, if they can keep feeding your disease, you're going to be a patient.
Mm-hmm.
You're a forever patient, because you'll come to the church and then he'll hold seminars and he'll yell at people and you think he's on your side, but he really wants you to be sick.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, and that's the trick. You make them sick because you're giving them. What are you giving them? You're giving them back their wounds and their trauma. You're speaking to them about what they've been through, and you're not giving them any actual healing.
Yeah.
And we talked about this earlier. Love, what love does, real love, it actually heals. That's how you know the difference, because real love heals. But the problem is nobody, like, just like little kids, we don't want to stay. We want to run away.
Right.
Little kids don't want to sit there and take it when they got to deal with their wounds. And they don't want to go to the doctor. They don't want to put the alcohol on.
Yeah.
They don't want to heal the wound. You know, they don't want to get it wrapped up because it's painful.
Yeah.
Right.
I don't want to put alcohol on either.
Yeah.
So when we're dealing with real love, it actually is going to hurt and it's going to be painful, and you don't want to be triggered again.
Yeah.
So you run, or we talked about this, that you run, you fight, right? You go back to that trauma response.
Yeah.
Right. So
Fight or
then
flight.
they bring about a false comfort.
Which is stay in your disease.
We're not
live there.
Live there. We're gonna just talk you
right
through it. We're never gonna address the issue, right? We're just gonna. That's how you feel. Yes, you're hurting. Okay, we'll be here together in your hurt. The thing is, you're gonna be there together in your hurt till you die and you bleed out,
right?
Because that's what's gonna happen, right? If you don't address the issue.
Yeah, that's like in the movie scene in like the war or something, when they know someone's gonna die and they just sit with them and they're like, all right, just relax.
Yeah.
You know, that you've given up already.
Yeah, exactly.
When when there's a chance to save someone, you're on it. You're like, nah, come on, put pressure here. Let's go. We got to move. You know.
Yep. And you said the exact problem. People give up. These people, I'm saying these people like Jamal Bryant, who are supposed to be shepherds of what? They're supposed to be shepherds, shepherding or keeping God's people in trusting the actual shepherd, right? And they're not. They're taking them to places of depravity. They're taking them to places that are dangerous.
Yeah.
You know, and they're dying because of it. And so these people, they're not loving actually.
Yeah.
They're actually selfish.
Imagine taking someone who you know is addicted to drugs, right? Heroin addict, crack addict, whatever, and you just sit them down and you're like, explain to me, like, what do you like? How does it feel? Like, let me try it with you. Like, let me see what you're feeling when you do it, so I can empathize with you. And let's just like, I want you to work through why you do this with me, and I want to understand you. Like that sounds crazy.
You know what's hilarious? Right? There was actually somebody this guy. Lovi, false prophet Lovi.
Yeah.
This guy, he's been exposed a lot by women, right? Women have been coming out and exposing him. And one thing that he said to this one girl was, "Oh, you're dealing with sexual immorality. You're dealing with porn. Well, send me the stuff that you're doing to yourself." Like, this is what he was saying. Oh, because in order for me to help you with it, I have to see what you're struggling in.
James,
is that what he was doing?
James, yes.
No, hold on,
that's what.
James, what was the David Allen Greer character on Martin?
Reverend Leon
Lonnie Love, baby. That was a Lonnie Love tactic right there. See, girl, send me exactly what the devil got you doing. See, that's how I'm gonna work it out. If you can send me exactly what the devil has you doing, because the Lord's going to win.
And they would do that? They would.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So, again.
Gullible.
You see, like, we got to know the love of Christ that surpasses all knowledge, right? The love of Christ that surpasses all knowledge. And these people quit because actually loving people is suffering.
Yeah.
Actually loving people, you gotta sacrifice.
Yeah. When you were talking to me about it earlier, bro, I was thinking about, we were talking about kids going to the doctor, and I was thinking about one time Aria got an infection on her leg, and it like swelled up and turned into like, an abscess or whatever. We took her to the doctor, and the doctor was like, only thing we can do is bust it open and squeeze it out. And she was like 3. You know what I mean? And he was like, you're going to have to hold her down.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right, yeah.
And like, I was like, oh man, like I did not want to do it, but I knew that I had to be done.
Right.
And so like, I grabbed her and I held her down, and she, like, the look on her face and like almost like this look of like, why are you doing this to me? Yeah. She was freaking out. And then when they started squeezing her, like, I'd never seen my child look like that look of fear and like, why is this happening? But because I loved her, I had to do that. You know what I mean? To for the healing to come.
Right.
And that's like what you're talking about. If I'd never wanted to go through that with her, I would just be like, no, we can't do that. You know what I mean? We have to figure out another way, or just let it get worse.
It'll get worse.
Yeah, you know what I mean?
Yeah, and this is what's happening. This is why it's getting worse.
Right, because no one's willing to deal with, because that was traumatizing for me. I almost cried, like, just seeing that look on her face, you know? But yeah. All right, let's keep playing this. I got to get my charger.
Typically, we're talking about folks not performing gender in ways that we expect for them to. But what the data shows is that the suicide rate for black kids 10 to 27 increased 144% between 2007 and 2020. This is before the most recent pandemic. Based on the limited data we're able to collect, we know that those rates are even higher for kids who identify as or who are assumed to be LGBTQIA+. We know that black young people, when they ask for help, seldom get it, which is in part where they stop asking for help or stop ringing the alarm. And we know if we play this all the way out that the consequence is usually that they engage in self-harm. The suicide rates, the depression rates, every quality of life indicator you can think of with regard to mental health and well-being, our babies are at the lowest rungs of those ladders. And often it's because they are rejected. They are not in community. It's all of the things that we know as African people matter to us. We're not supposed to be figuring this out by ourselves, which is why we do this in a congregation. We figure this out in a community. We do it in relation with people who can love us and love the most important parts of who we are. And there's a lot that I think gets in the way, especially for folks who want to argue theology and haven't even read the book. But the thing that for me should never get in the way or never be lost is love.
I want to ask you a question that I'm sure you've been asked a million times. Is white evangelicals a lot of times trumpet that you are Christian before you are black? I wanted to ask you, which are you confronted with first? I hope I'm wording it correctly.
Yeah.
Being black or being same gender
I
like.
reject the premise of the question.
Okay, reject.
I think even the positing of the question reinforces all of the worst parts of whiteness. Because if you are a white man, you never have to choose. You're always in a position of power. The further away you move from being a white man, and let's go back to the origins of the term, to be a man in this country meant that you were white, straight,
Yes.
married,
Yes.
Protestant,
Yes.
and land owning. There were conditions to this.
Yes.
If you weren't any of those things, you didn't have the same rights as a designated man did. And what I know is that not only do I feel like I am unable to choose, I'm not doing that work for nobody else. You got to take all of me.
Yeah.
And this is what I know is one of the challenges. White mediocrity suggests that we pick and choose, not only within ourselves, but within our community.
Where is any of that line up biblically?
It doesn't.
Where does any of that
None of it.
line up with what Jesus talks about?
Where is any of what he's saying makes God Lord in your life?
Yeah.
Or the power in your life, the ability in your life, it doesn't. It points right back to you.
And that's what he should be saying to him. Give him the word and say something, but
he's not challenging him, or
you know, he's making these noises, and that's all he's doing.
Yeah.
Because
I don't think he wants to.
wow and ooh.
Yeah,
that's all. That's all
agree.
you hear.
I agree with James. I think he's trying to be strategic with this. Like he's responding in a way where he can later say, well, I just wanted to let him speak his truth.
Yeah.
I didn't want to challenge.
Yes.
I was giving him a space to say what he wanted to say. If he gets backlash, if he doesn't get backlash, he don't got to explain himself.
And that's why he had to frame it as a white black thing, because if he ever gets pushback from his black constituents specifically about not challenging on the biblical idea of what sin is, especially when it comes to homosexuality, he can always revert to, because if he knows that let's just say, like, Bishop Wooden, you guys know Bishop Wooden?
Yeah.
All right, the older black pastor who's been calling him out.
Yep. We played him on
What
here a
he's
few
trying,
times.
what Jamal Bryant, people like him are trying to do is this: if they get attacked by another black Christian who's calling out that type of condoning of the behavior by not saying anything, or at least no correction, he can always come back with the black angle. I'm speaking to him as a black man, and I'm trying to hear his truth. It's
Right.
these weird little
Now y'all know.
inflections,
Now
his
y'all know
truth.
when they ask you, "Are you a Christian or are you black?" Y'all don't want to answer that question, So he can always go back to that because
He
he
can go back to
framed
that.
it with that 1st. Are you Christian first or black first? I mean, even the way you
Right.
word that to me is, it's like it's false.
It shouldn't. Yeah. Christian is an identity.
Yeah.
And really, we're believers in Christ.
Yeah.
We're seeking the Lord. We are a new creation.
I mean, I can understand. Okay, is Jesus your Lord or is your race your Lord?
Yeah.
Frame it like that.
Right. And we should be framing it like that. We can't put our race or our identity in the flesh.
Yeah.
Right? Or how we think we are. We can't put that before God.
All right, is you go ahead, James. How's going?
No, I was going to say, and there has been a lot of lately. There's been a lot of black conservative, or black. I don't understand conservative, but black pastor types who have been calling him out. And what he's trying to do is he's trying to trap black people with the notion of blackness, that these guys that are calling out, he's trying to prove that I love you and I care about your blackness first. You know what I'm saying?
Well,
so that's why he
we saw
frames
him
it a
do the
certain
same
way.
thing with Kamala when she was on the campaign trail.
Yeah.
We saw him do the same thing with, anytime he talks about Black Lives Matter, when he talks about.
But at the root of it, it's a trauma response. It's fear. That's how you know, like, what rules him. Fear. Because I don't even have to know the intention. I know there is a bad intention there. I don't know exactly what it is. It could be money. It could be the way he wants to be just looked at.
Virtuosity.
Yeah. It could be because of fear of his community in the black church. It could be a bunch of things. But the thing is, it's something because love is not his ruler. The love of God is not his ruler.
Right.
Because it's on a different plane. It works on a different plane. And he's not showing any of that.
Right. All right, let's keep playing.
There's so much diversity. Again, everything that exists now started in Africa. And I want us to remember, let's reclaim African ways of being. There are countries that you can go to right now where they don't have gender pronouns, where he and she don't exist. Sambufu Same, one of my favorite writers, wrote a book called The Spirit of Intimacy. Chapter 13 of the book is titled Homosexuality, the Gatekeepers. They write, in my village in West Africa, the words lesbian and gay did not exist.
Does that mean maybe it don't exist because they don't have those things?
Do that.
That's like when we say like homosexuality didn't exist in the Bible.
Yeah. That's what I was thinking.
Yeah.
And he goes even worse with it.
But just him framing it like that, like lesbian and gay did not exist.
Yeah.
Maybe because they don't have words for those things. Yeah.
I love how you had the slurry words.
Well, that's the way he talk. Like he's very like in his nose when he talk. Like,
but the word gatekeeper did. More importantly for me, they go on to say gatekeepers hold the space between our community, the village, and our ancestors. In most space,
he's talking about gatekeepers. Meanwhile, both of them are fraternity members, black gatekeepers.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like in the church.
Right.
But they're
and you're right. I hate when people do that because the Native American, most of the Native American dialect didn't have the word property in it.
Yeah,
because they didn't believe they didn't believe in the word of owning land. But that doesn't mean that they didn't claim things to themselves. You know what I'm saying?
they fought wars over land and like space.
They just didn't have the word.
Yeah, they just didn't have the words. I know. It's so funny when people do this like mind gymnastics. You know,
it's always you only get there by going deeper and deeper into yourself.
Right.
Into your proving yourself.
Proving yourself.
And that guy that's speaking, what's his name again, Jamie?
I don't know. What's his name, Jake? Doctor something?
I don't know.
Yeah, we don't know.
Okay. Doctor, whatever his name is. Guys like him, what they do is this, because of what the traumatic experiences that a lot of black people have gone through, what they try to do is they want you to attach the trigger language, like the motherland, back in the village, back in my tribe. You ain't from there.
Right. Because they can always say that our entire concept of gender is a white supremacist, colonial, imperialistic idea.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, that's what his identity is in his blackness. It's in his homosexuality.
Yeah.
I'll put quotes on that because I don't believe in that. It's in those things. So he has to propagate that. He has to push that forward.
Yeah.
Man, he light as heck.
Doesn't matter.
Don't you always feel like, me and Liz talk about this all the time, the light skin pro blacks are always the most pro black.
Yeah.
Because they
big time.
have to prove to the dark skinned blacks that they're just as black, right?
If not
What
blacker.
do you mean I'm gonna punch you in your light skinned face?
So is that why you were in the president of the?
That's why I was the president of the African American Culture Club. I had to prove a point. I'm the leader of all of you.
I'm the blackest.
I am the captain
black.
now. I am the captain.
Because I'm black, y'all.
And I'm black, y'all.
And I'm black, y'all.
And I'm black, y'all.
Yeah. But you can see like he's leaning into the white supremacist, ideology is what says that gender is only two, which is completely BS.
And everything he goes to is just to secure himself.
Right.
And to secure the people that he connects with on a very fleshly level.
Yeah.
Right?
Right. He
knows,
all his people
he knows that this is.
Go ahead.
I'm sorry. I was saying he knows that this is a trigger thing, and he knows that if he could trap people with that, they'll have something in common. You know what I mean?
Exactly. I think
That's why he says it.
We should send him that clip from Matt Walsh with the tribe on What is a Woman?
Yeah.
Because they're
And
Africans.
does anybody believe that some dude from Atlanta is roaming around African village in a homosexual lifestyle, and no one's gonna question that?
Looking for his bottom-friendly menu as he walks around.
That's the Maasai people, right?
Yeah.
They're Kenyan.
The Maasai people in Kenya, yeah. Yeah, he was talking to them. Yeah, we need to send him that clip. Why are you gay?
Keep watching.
Whether
He
it's,
says something.
Tahiti, Turtle Island, or Hawaii, Native indigenous spaces, understand that queer people are sacred. You don't get closer to freedom without having to go through us.
I need you to do a quick.
You hear what he just said?
Yeah.
Sacred.
Yeah. Queer people are sacred.
You don't get to freedom without having to go through us. Wait a minute.
What does that mean?
I thought John chapter 8 says that if you abide in my word, you're my disciple. You know the truth will set you free.
Right.
I thought that he said that only the Son can set you free indeed.
Yeah.
Like,
I thought he said, I am the way, the truth, and the life, and no one comes to the Father but by through me.
Yeah.
He never said through me and LGBT.
my man ain't challenging him at all.
At all.
At all.
No,
what's going on?
But you know what's crazy is me and Liz were just watching something about Indonesian culture. I was telling you about this, where they have these like, and you know, it's very Muslim over there, but they have like these weird exceptions of these certain like ancient tribal people that are transgender men that they see as these shamans or like these like intercessors for the
one
divine.
of Jamie's crazy stories.
We were just watching
this up.
Not only that, like a lot of a cult, or not even a cult, like what do you say? Like Baal worship. A lot of these ancient practices, had to do with male prostitutes.
Yeah, not
right?
even ancient.
They
not
dressed
even ancient,
up as women.
Aleister Crowley, right? Wasn't so ancient.
They do that in India too. In
Yeah.
there's parts of India where it's the men are dressed up. It's a man, but he's dressed up in like a sari or like a woman's outfit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think it's not part of the upper class, kind of like the lower middle class, lower class probably. But they do it. They have done that before.
Yeah, and so I think that's what he's referencing. These basic demonic cultures that are using these shamans or these oracles, if you will, that are also transgender.
But you're supposed to be
Right.
a follower of Christ.
Right.
Right. Which is ironic because the whole transgender thing is eerily similar to the Baphomet, the half goat, half man with the female and male parts. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So it ties right into what Jake is saying there about a worship, a sense of worship, because it's almost. I mean, that's a drawing. We've never seen we know there's no such thing as a Baphomet, but it's literal representation of what they are.
Bro, you guys got to watch that video I sent y'all today in the Young Lion, because he breaks it down so good how all of those
The Nephilim
characters, huh?
Yep. The Nephilim one?
Yes. Baal.
Yeah, I finished watching it. It was really good.
Oh, you watched it? Yeah. You see how he's showing how like
I saw this.
all of those characters. Oh, you saw that before?
Yeah.
All of those deities all point back to the same. They're all versions of the same ones.
Right.
They're just
and one thing he said that was interesting in it is that he said that when the first angels sinned and were sent down to Tartarus, their children were almost as worse than them because they didn't have the power that they have.
Right.
You know, and they demanded human worship. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So they were the more ruthless ones. Yeah. I mean, the way he broke it down was very, very interesting. And even like the whole like Goliath thing and how
that's Gary Wayne.
Okay.
He's been around for a minute. He's got a crazy book.
Yeah.
It's thick. Yeah. Like 1,000 pages.
Wow. Yeah. I mean, that was an interesting breakdown. So watch it when you get a chance. I would love to discuss that at some point because he goes into all of that. Like,
and this is kind of like what we're dealing with is, I was talking to Jamie, it's this thread of Gnosticism, which goes back to eventually Gnosticism turns into New Age Hinduism, where you're transcending as a god or divine, and also you're worshiping gods.
And didn't he break that down in there too, James? Talking about the Gnostic. Yeah, all of that it's interesting.
Yeah.
Like all of that goes together.
That's
Yeah.
essentially where the whole religion was formed, right there.
Mm-hmm.
In right after that fall, during that time is where all of these little things started to pop up. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? Because here's the thing that a lot of Christians miss is that we think that all these demonic, the Nephilim and the sons of, we think that they're all cohesive. They were warring against each other
Yeah.
too.
They all
There
wanted to
wasn't this
rule.
like exactly. So
Mm-hmm.
when we hear it, we think that it was all like they're working together. It's kind of like how like when I was a kid, the drawings that I saw of hell was the demons in hell poking you with a stick and having fun. That's not true at all. That's
Yeah.
man's interpretation of it.
Yeah. That's Dante's
It
Inferno.
that's Dante's Inferno. But think about that artwork that made it look like they're having a great time torturing you.
Mm-hmm.
No, these fallen spirits were at war and conflict with each other. They were warring against each other too. You know what I mean?
Yeah. They
Because
were
they
fighting
want
for
they
territory. Like it literally
fighting for territory.
they literally they were principals over regions.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's interesting, man. Even the concept of when he was breaking down how Genesis 1 could be a reforming, like there was this huge destruction before that, and then it could be a reforming of everything. Like I've always like wondered about that. They asked him about dinosaurs, how that plays in, like all of that. He broke it down.
Don't tell me I want to watch it.
Yeah. Anyway, all right, let's finish this.
Remedial class. I have a doctorate degree, but I also have a GED. Help me translate. Yes, translate for me. What is transgender?
Yep. So, yep. In the pure sense of the term, doctors make guesses at what gender is going to be at birth.
Bro, this is
which is why
wild.
people still engage in this.
Bro,
arcade.
come on. I can't, bro. Doctors make guesses. Can we play that again?
Because this is Gnosticism. That's what, dude, at the core of this whole thing, it's Gnosticism. Do you see it or
I
no?
see it. I
You
see
get what I'm
it.
saying?
Yeah, but it's just like, come on. You're not going to push back on that at all.
You're saying for him, yeah.
Yeah, doctors make guesses.
But again, because he is submitted to that. He is under that.
He's playing the game.
Yeah.
But he's not. The game he's playing is under. He's under the control of something. He's not playing a game that we can't see through. He's playing
exactly.
He's playing a game under the control of the thing he submitted to. And he's got to submit to that because it affects his bottom line.
I got to play that again because that was just crazy.
Gender.
Yep. So, yep. In the pure sense of the term, doctors make guesses at what gender is going to be at birth, right? Which is why people still engage in this arcane practice of gender reveals. Doctors are using every tool that they have, right? They're assessing chromosomes and makeup through the lens of biology, which is more of a social construct. The two things get mixed together. And they typically say that this child will likely be a boy, this child will likely be a girl. There's a small percentage of times where you cannot make a determination based on scientific principles. And so that baby might be intersex. If you, as a person growing up and developing, identify with the gender that the doctor assigned to you, you are cisgendered. CIS, not cis, you're cisgendered.
Tell me what that is.
It simply means that your gender identity is consistent with the gender identity that a doctor assigned to you.
Okay.
If that is not true for you, if my identity is different than what a doctor said it was going to be,
yes,
you're trans. In a pure sense, that's what it means.
I got it.
We often get tripped up and start to think about sex,
yes,
and genitalia,
yes,
and stuff that generally is not somebody's concern unless you're trying to love up on somebody.
Right.
But this is literally about gender as it was assigned at birth, which is why you see this current administration trying to limit gender to that which a doctor assigned, without regard for how one experiences life, how they've engaged in development, how they themselves see themselves in the mirror and wake up in the morning. With regard to the federal government.
So, and the reason why I say it's Gnostic is because we have to see this, that with Gnosticism,
it's about knowing.
It's about knowing. But with Gnosticism, it's about the flesh is evil, right? So basically, like, our bodies are not really who we are.
Yeah.
It's about transcending our bodies. The flesh, our bodies are evil. It's not that our bodies have fallen. It's not that we are in corrupted bodies because of what has happened through sin.
Yeah.
It's that our bodies are evil.
Yeah.
Right? And so now, where does the knowing come from? It comes from within. right? So now your knowing is
whatever I feel. Yeah.
I know deep from within me that I'm really a woman. You know what I mean? Like this is, so now how can you tell me that I don't feel this and experience this inside of myself? You can separate yourself from that. And then really it's like, yeah, because this really doesn't mean anything. You get what I'm saying? Like that's where it goes. This doesn't mean anything. So what I am feeling here is not really the point. It's more what I'm feeling inside. And then I transcend. But it's all selfish, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's all...
I was about to say that.
It's all prideful.
Yeah.
Because your transcendence is through... Like Jesus is... You have these false gospels, you know, the infancy gospel, gospel of Thomas, the gospel of Mary Magdalene, right?
Which are often referred to as
the Gnostic gospels, right? They're Gnostic. So you have all these false gospels, these Gnostic gospels. What are they doing? They're only using Jesus as a conduit for gnosis, for knowledge. That's it, right? And they're using Jesus as the prototype of that transcendence, right? They don't even think that Jesus is his body,
right?
Like they think he transcended his body, you know, all these things. So it's a different way of looking at things, and it's divorced from actual Christianity.
Yeah, it's a new age.
Yeah,
is indoctrinating children and trying to change boys into girls. It's a lie. It is a similar lie to. It's a similar lie that is being used to attempt to justify preventing trans women exclusively from being able to participate in sports. But when we think about trans athletes generally at the collegiate level, NCAA, if there are roughly 20,000 NCAA athletes in the country, how many of them do you think are trans?
100?
Fewer than that. It's fewer than that.
Wow.
And what I want most people to remember is that before this became a manufactured problem, schools and colleges and the Olympics and other federations found ways to ensure that people could compete without regard for these manufactured problems or concerns.
His point is, again, at first it was so bad, right?
Yeah.
But now it's nothing.
Yeah.
So why are we even worried about this? Because a little leaven is a lump.
Right.
Because if you have
once
a little
you start
bit,
allowing that door to open,
because you're prideful in nothing. You're prideful. You are puffed up in hot air. It's vanity.
So we're talking about, you know, just a little bit of trans athletes, but
they're winning.
He's not talking about the harm that, you know, a girl breaking the skull.
That's what it is.
Yeah.
You're not talking about that.
That volleyball player that was concussed.
Yeah.
These boys that are winning all these awards and trophies, and you know, you got Leah Thomas. Like, it doesn't matter if it's only a little.
The
bit.
article that the Olympic, the Algerian boxer.
Yeah, now they're finding out
that Stan just sent.
Yeah,
they're finding out that, you know,
they knew.
Yeah,
but none of that matters to him, because that's his truth about him. That God made him that way.
Yeah.
So he's trying to tell everyone that God made me that way, so he made you that way, so you stay that way. And, you know, it's like, and then this guy not saying anything. He's just agreeing, like, just, you know.
Yeah. He's acting. We see the game that he's playing. He's acting like he don't know what exactly is transgender.
Yeah, right.
John was watching, by the way. He said James is grubbing. He caught you eating on there.
Well, that was a while ago.
Yeah. Too late. It's already done, John.
That was a while ago.
No, I was going to also say, you know what's funny about that? When they love quoting statistics and numbers. Check this out, right? It's funny to me where they speak as though what they're saying is absolute fact. Like, basically kind of like dogging out science, like, I have the knowledge, you don't. It's weird. It's weird. It's one thing that's interesting about it is this. They also have the numbers too. It's mostly male transition to female that want to compete. It's not the opposite. You don't see a lot of female transition to male and want to try it for the football team, the basketball team. It's all male to female transition going into this.
And why do we think that is?
Exactly.
Why do we think
number
that
one,
is?
yeah, they know that they can beat up on the girls. It's females who transition from female to male with drugs or hormones, they know that male athletes, especially you're talking a college athlete who's in the prime of his peak performance testosterone, they're not going to compete. How many male to female to male athletes are trying out for the football team,
Or even the track team, the swim
the
team.
track team, the basketball team?
Yeah,
They're not doing
volleyball,
it.
tennis. You're not going to see
None
it.
of that.
Tennis,
But it's
nope.
exclusively male to female transition that they allowed. And by the way, we have to also add in this, a lot of women champion this. A lot of
Mhm.
women said love is love. A lot of women said it's not that big of a deal because they never
Feminists.
thought that they would be really. And what it was, what it was this. They started to get hurt. That was big. That was the big one. Get hurt. But what was happening was subsequently they were losing their scholarship to these
Yeah.
to the transgenders. That's what really made it open the eye. Because is it Riley Thomas?
Riley
Riley
Gaines.
Gaines.
Riley Gaines.
Leah Thomas.
One of the very
yeah.
few. Right. Riley Gaines was one of the few who spoke out against that,
Mhm.
as far as her, but also to bring into light that many of them were outshining these girls that had been performing since they were 5, 6 years old, all the way up to college level, and they were winning these scholarship hands down because
Well,
the college just cares about winning.
They didn't speak up because they were threatened with their scholarship and to
Yeah.
be removed from the team.
Yeah.
There was another girl that spoke up, the Asian girl that was on Thomas's
swim team.
swim
yeah.
team,
And they were told not to make a big deal about it, not to speak about it
Right.
publicly. Yeah.
So they threatened them.
Yeah.
Just imagine like you worked hard and you're if you say something about this, you're
Even having a man change in your locker room now.
Yes.
In front of you.
yes,
You know.
because all he had to do was take hormones for whatever months,
Yeah.
12 months or
You
whatever.
have to pass the test.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You got to take it enough to pass the test because in MMA there was one called Fallon Fox that was
Yeah.
a Brazilian transgender. And he just had to prove his testosterone was low on the week before the fight. But after that, you're good. You know what I mean?
You cannot take those
Yeah. And
because
that's
the body will heal itself.
and that's why he cracked someone's skull
yeah.
open.
Mm-hmm.
But let's not get
Started.
too, yeah, let's keep going because I don't want to.
Yeah.
We can't get through.
A little while ago, a boycott against Target, and called it a fast to bring back spiritual properties to the movement because the Black church has not been visible or vocal in collectively. Of course, there are offshoots of individual churches and individuals, but the Black church at large really hasn't been on the front line in a generation, I would say, and missed the train, Dr. Johns, at the emergence of Black Lives Matter, which was one of the few or only movements in the Black community that wasn't birthed out of the womb of the Black church, led by a Black leader.
Yeah.
In large measure, it was not supported because Black denominations, Black pastors, Black churches didn't want to follow the lead of sisters. I'm a graduate who were same gender loving.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you for giving
No,
me a
thank you for
crash
being
course.
intentional.
Yes.
Absolutely.
And so I did the Target
So
fast.
you know what just happened there?
Yeah.
What?
He's acknowledging that he's like accepting his knowledge and like
because
learning.
he said same gender loving.
Oh,
that's why. Because he didn't say homosexual or lesbians, or he said same gender loving
instead of gay or
I just saw him bash the church because they weren't men that started Black Lives Matter.
Yeah.
No, it wasn't the church, and it wasn't. Yeah.
No, that's what he said. He said the Black church didn't want to support Black Lives Matter. A lot of the church didn't want to support it because it was, started by
two lesbians,
loving.
Yeah.
Because they were women.
Yeah.
Not men.
Right.
But no, I was just saying that when he said thank you, it wasn't because of that. It was because he said same-sex loving. That's what I'm trying to say.
I wasn't worried about what
because he said that thing, and
because he because he bent the knee to his idea, to the cult, basically.
Yes.
Yeah.
And he doesn't even realize what he's doing, or does he? Right?
He's bowing to the idol.
Yo, if you go to this church, right, and you don't see, you see this, you watch this, and you're still going to this church.
I think the people that are like avid members of this church they're under so many other spells that this doesn't
I'm telling you, he's there's probably people that's like, all right, this dude, I'm gonna try to stick with it maybe because of loyalty to the church, but this dude is like out there, man.
Yeah.
He is out there, and that's saying that's me being nice.
Yeah,
he's out there,
bro,
and he's playing such a game, politics to try to bend the knee, like y'all said, to this ideology.
Remember the scene when well, we have so many examples of this, but you know, when the devil says to Jesus, you know, if you just bow down and worship me, I'll give you everything, blah, blah, blah. But also the scene in 300 where Leonidas is in front of Xerxes and he says, you know, just bow to me and all of this will go away, right?
Yeah.
Like, that's what I see when he's doing this, when he's like, obviously, when he's accepting all of his terms, when he's accepting everything that he's putting in front of him as like, I want to give you what you need to be comfortable. He's bowing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
totally.
He's in the wrong way. Like, it's like me trying to please. It's like when you're trying to please your wife when she's coming to you in a way where she wants you to appreciate her the way she wants you to appreciate her, but then it's never right. It's never going to be exactly right because she doesn't even know what she really wants.
Yeah.
Right. And then you just always trying to please something. It never works. It's just like trying to please a kid. It never works because it's not real love.
Yeah.
It's not love.
Right.
It's false.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You don't love your kids that way. You don't love your wife that way.
Yep.
Who were doing a Target boycott. I did the Target fast to escort the church in the conversation.
To manipulate the church into doing what I wanted to do.
so
Is what he's
bad.
saying.
Yeah.
I had to make it a fast so that the church could accept.
Escort. Into the narrative.
Yep.
Into the narrative.
Ooh.
Like he's literally
He tells
telling you
himself.
what he's doing.
I'm not sure whether we bridge the gap or marry the movement so that we can work in tandem moving forward. We got, in the words of Dr. King, we got some difficult days ahead. And we don't have time to cherry pick. How do you best recommend that the Black church become more encompassing?
This is where Dr. Freeman Rabowski would say we should be not beholden to the tyranny of either or, but be liberated by the beauty of both and. We got to figure out how to do all of it. One of the things that I appreciate about our fraternity, which is its motto is achievement in every field of human endeavor, and what I've experienced in your leadership with the Target Fast, it's also showing up in the State of the People Tour, is an appreciation for the fact that our individual achievements don't really matter if we don't find ways to enrich everybody in our community. Right? This again is Fannie Lou Hamer. None of us are free unless and until all of us are free. So let's all get free together.
Yeah, to manipulate everybody together.
What's James doing? Is he working over there?
James, he's over there cooking. What you doing, James?
No, I'm washing some dishes.
Okay. We need you to mute up while you're doing that because we can hear it.
Oh, sorry.
It's all good.
Wow, this is unbelievable.
This is on some.
Yeah. So you see, like, it's that establishment is gone.
Yeah.
It's gone.
Yeah.
The Black church in that way, it's gone.
Yeah.
And we have to recognize that. Like, what do you care more about?
Right.
Your culture or God?
Or God.
And when he was talking, I kept hearing, that verse. It was, let your yes be yes and your no be no.
Yeah.
Because he's just going, enrich me, teach me.
Yeah.
And it's like, what?
How can we cater to you more? How can we bend the knee to you?
Yeah. Did you watch this, Jamie?
No.
Okay.
All right. So what are we getting into now?
Because we're kind of like
Okay.
It's 11 o'clock there.
Let's
11 o'clock there. Bye.
Let's go past this. I just want to get to this one.
Gloss over this. Did you say you're
this?
Not that.
Because
the
here's the
woman.
thing.
The woman.
That's all I got. Let me
Isn't
see.
that the woman? I sent it to you.
Let me see.
The woman pastor.
That's dude from PBD.
Yeah, Adam Sauce. I didn't even know he was still doing his podcast.
If only for the
It didn't go through.
Yeah, I got
It didn't
everything
go
that you
through.
gave me.
All right, well.
What was it?
Huh?
What was it?
Next week.
Yeah, next week. Let's just go. We could do this last. The one that I said to skip. We can do that and then be done because it's a quick clip, and it's crazy.
Okay.
And it's the church again, and this dude. Just see how he acts, but then listen. See how he acts, but also listen to what he's saying.
Who is he?
Is this Lovey?
No.
Oh, I look like Lovey. Oh, you did say he had the Lovey braids.
Yeah.
There are certain types
His
of
name
sexual
is,
communication that is intrinsically.
What?
What is his name?
Oh, it's
some
not up.
Stevenson. Michael Stevenson.
Michael Stevenson.
I think
Okay.
something like that.
He does.
I'm probably
God
wrong.
bless you.
Does he look like Lovey?
He does like Lovey.
But he's an apostle, like supposed to be prophetic, all this stuff. But he's gotten exposed for some stuff.
Some Lovey stuff. Bless you, Mom.
Yeah, I won't get into it because I don't know exactly. It's like been.
Is he at New Birth?
Been kind of vague. No, he's in a church in Chicago, but this is very Pentecostal. But the way he's talking, his mannerisms, and then also what he's saying is crazy.
Okay.
So.
But there are certain types of sexual communication that is intrinsically demonic. Say which one? Pedophilia is a demon. Pedophilia is a devil. Nobody naturally wants to have sex with children. It's demonic. It's demonic in the bishop's chair. It's demonic in the pastor's office. It's demonic on the choir room. Shout hallelujah.
Why is he acting like
What?
that? Now, go back. Because it's just, he closed that computer.
I saw
Go
that.
back to what he did. Like, it's in him, right?
That's why they want us to leave him alone. It's beastie darnality.
No, that's
You're
just
not
this.
going to tell me looking at a mouse, a cat, a goat is going to turn you on? Let me give you some wisdom.
Listen to his wisdom.
Adam was in Eden with God. Adam was surrounded by animals. God said, watch me. It's not good for man to be alone. It's not. Now, y'all see that and y'all like, ooh, because a man that found a good thing. No, it's deeper. Tell your neighbor it's deeper. God put a sexual appetite in Adam before he pulled Eve out of him. Watch me. And God never called Eve Eve. Adam did. He called Eve Adam. You don't have time for that. And so
Go back. Go back to what he said because he tried to.
Adam.
Yeah.
Slip that in
He's
there.
trying to slip that in
Go
there.
back to that.
And so without something coming out of him, Eve out of him. Watch me. And God never called Eve Eve. Adam did. He called Eve Adam. You don't have time for that. And so without something coming out of him for compatibility, he still had human hormones. Who would he been attracted to if there was no rib? He would have been messing with the animals around him. So as to prevent y'all don't hear this.
Yo. How do you come to that,
bro?
Thinking. How do you get there?
He was in Colombia.
Because understand, we're supposed to be preaching on the revelation of how the Holy Spirit leads us through the scriptures, right?
Yeah.
How are you coming up with this stuff, bro?
Bro.
You're going to some dark places.
And he called Eve Adam. Like, what the heck?
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
And he said it and then he went away. But do you notice he said, let me teach you something. Let me give you some wisdom.
Yeah.
Right? Now, I don't know, because I just see pride in every bit of that.
Right.
There's a show.
Yeah, everything he's doing is a show.
Yeah. And they're eating it up.
But where is he? And no one, like the whole congregation should have been like, what are you talking about?
Bro. Listen to them in the background.
Yeah. He said he would have been attracted to the animals.
Yeah. This is where we go.
How do you know though?
Exactly.
Yeah, but that's
Exactly.
Just the weird thing. Why would he say that?
Maybe God didn't put that in Adam until Eve.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How do you
Until
know?
the fall of man, right?
Right.
Well, why would Adam even think in that way and go there?
Mm-hmm.
Like, this stuff doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
But yet you are in so much pride to say something that has no biblical context.
This man said he would have been attracted to the animals. I can't. Like, what are we talking about? Have you guys seen all those videos that people be posting of like the different countries that the men say that like their first sexual partner was the animal, like the donkeys? And
I saw the
goats and
donkey
stuff.
one.
Yeah.
Well, did you put that up?
I don't.
Yeah,
The
because we were
Colombian-
talking about
Yeah,
it.
Colombian.
The Colombian one.
Yeah.
Yeah. Bro, that was bad, man.
We gotta ask
They got
David about that. David Rodriguez, because he's half Colombian.
What'd you say, James?
They got that from Spain, actually.
Yeah.
That practice came from Spain. It was a practice where, in order for the boys not to defile the girls, they would tell them go to a female donkey.
Wow.
What?
That's been happening a long time. They would do it with sheep too. That's where they would tell, because a lot of times the young men would go off to war, and that, aside from engaging in homosexual practice, it was commonly accepted that in order to not defile the girls, they would go to animals.
I've seen that a lot
'Cause
in Muslim cultures too, with the goats, like the female goats. That's like a meme on X too. Remember we talked about the meme of the James wasn't here when we talked about the meme of the smoke detector beeping. Oh, you were on the call. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So another like meme is the goats in Muslim communities, especially like the more rural ones.
Yeah.
Like that they use them as the same way. Yeah.
But again, where is this stuff like? You got no control over yourself whatsoever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just that you're even going there.
Yep.
Like you're going there. That's crazy.
I mean, they're filming themselves doing it, so they don't care.
Well, that's the
'Cause
thing.
it's normalized.
After a while, it
Yeah.
becomes normal.
Right.
It's like,
That's your first wife. Isn't that what they said?
Yeah, that's what they said.
So maybe this guy grew up in one of those cultures, and he's trying to rationalize that the same way this other guy's trying to rationalize what
grew
he
up in
does.
Chicago. I think he's just
He's an original passport bro.
I think he just has gone down some crazy avenues in terms of his own stuff.
Yeah.
And he's trying, and that's why I like talking about Gnosticism again. This is what happens. We don't know how to deal with our depravity. We don't know how to give it to God. We try to do it ourselves. We don't know how to do it ourselves because it's impossible, right?
Yeah.
With God, these things are possible. I mean, without God, it's impossible. With God, it's possible, right? Anything's possible.
Mm-hmm.
But we don't trust God. We try to do it ourselves. We try to portray an image. We can't live up to that image. And what happens is we start to create really bad doctrines and really bad teachings like this because we go down very bad ways of thinking.
Yeah.
Right? To process our stuff because we gotta save ourselves. So how do I save myself? I gotta process it in a way. It's that fight or flight again.
Yep.
Right? I gotta fight. I gotta fight for my life. So now I'm processing ways to keep myself safe.
And I want to add something real quick. I know we're closing, but I want to add something real quick. In an attempt sometimes to seem deep, a lot of these guys try to make it look like they've read into something. Y'all don't know what I'm talking about. Y'all ain't ready for that.
We ain't ready. We ain't ready for that.
We definitely aren't ready.
They try to take an angle as if they're so deep and so studied, so profound, and they're studying their walk that they know something we don't know.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like if you hear the language is, like I said, you ain't ready for this.
Yeah.
Y'all not up on this. I know something you don't know. It's this kind of like one-up attitude where I don't even think it's it's them just gloating, and they don't even know what they're saying, but they're not being challenged. So they could almost say anything up there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So to make it look like they're saying something deep. You know, it's kind of like when I see Dr. Umar Johnson, right? When I hear him talk, he reminds me a lot of the black intellectual type, where it's really screaming loud and like a lot of verbiage that they try to get you to realize, to believe that they know something you don't know.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They found something. I found something. You know?
Yeah.
It's not actual teaching. It's like, y'all better tune in next week because you're going to miss out on some more profound stuff. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Right. But again, so then it goes back to your itching ears. You care more about knowledge, right? And it goes right back to eating of the tree of the fruit.
Right. Knowledge
The
of
fruit
good
of the
and evil,
tree of the knowledge of good and evil. And you're not focused on
switching cameras.
and
That's
you're not
bad.
You're not
Yeah,
actually.
that's what Uncle Denny said.
I saw that.
You're not giving people You're not giving people tactics. You're not giving people strategy. You're not giving people technique or technology or
tactic.
Technical, which is on the practical side, right? Ways of dealing with these things, right? Growing and becoming skilled in understanding how to deal with our flesh, how to deal with these issues. It's a process. Recognizing
how to deal with
it.
temptation.
How to recognize it. Because our old minds want to do something totally different, totally opposite, and it takes time to renew our mind. It takes time to learn it, and you see that here. So then you have these pastors that, and you see this. It's not just the black church, but we were talking mostly about the black church tonight. So, and when I say the black church again, it's gone.
Right.
It's not. I'm
not talking about black people that go to church.
Black people that are going to church are part of the body of
right.
Christ.
You're
right?
talking about the organized of the black church. Yeah.
What has happened is that people are looking and focusing on, they can really sing a song. They're focusing on the talents. They're focusing on
the production.
They can really they can preach the word.
Yeah.
They're focusing on all these things, but they're not focusing on the meaning behind it.
Yeah.
Right? Does it have the intentionality of God? We can all learn to be skilled in something, right? But that doesn't mean that God's in that.
Yeah.
You know?
Yep.
Haven't I prophesied in your name? Haven't I cast out demons?
I just saw something I sent to Emily and David. It was a white church. They've been having issues with like youth pastors.
Yeah.
I just saw an article. One dude was been grooming kids, and I know some people that's been dealing with that type of stuff.
Yeah.
So white churches deal with stuff too.
Yeah, absolutely.
They do.
Just because you're in a church don't mean that, they're all godly people or,
you're safe. Yeah.
When it becomes more about your skill in a very false way, when you've grown and skilled in how to do things that connect to the flesh, right? Instead of your skill that teaches you how to connect to the spirit, right? That's when you don't know how to enter into spiritual things, and you're not teaching people how to practice how to enter into God's rest. That's when things start to go awry. And so many churches are dealing with this, especially in America.
And this happened years ago, actually, in the quote-unquote white church with the Lutheran, where they brought in the first gay priest, and then I think they made a woman the head of the clergy.
Yeah.
It's not quite the same as Catholic, but you've seen it before, and they've done that same where they want to have like an open forum. In fact, there's a church not too far from my neighborhood. It's a Lutheran church, and it has the gay flag, and it says "All are welcome, no judgment."
Yeah,
they
all.
So I'm sorry, say it again.
No, I remember just passing. There's a few Lutheran.
This is one in Medford.
I sent. Yep, that was the one I took a picture and sent to you guys because I used to deliver there.
Wasn't the one who did that? The woman who did that thing with Trump, wasn't she Lutheran?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure.
Pretty sure she was Presbyterian.
Oh, okay.
But they're pretty far gone too.
But she was doing that because she was getting money from.
Those are all
USAID.
Yeah.
They're all considered mainline churches. And
so this is no different, you know. This is Jamal is doing the same thing all of them are doing. It may be new.
And the mainline churches are kind of like when I say the black church, I'm talking about
the mainline,
the main black church, the established.
Right.
Like this is what we do. This is how we do it, and that's why you have Jamal Bryant, and he has all his P's and Q's down. He knows how to say it, how to speak it, what to say. He knows how to connect things in a way. Like you notice, like they always have these little things that they connect. Like he was like, let me perch myself on your tree right now. I don't know if you caught. I don't know. Maybe I watched when I was clipping him. I don't know if it was in there, but he was saying stuff like that. Like, but he knows to say these little things that get people like, ooh,
right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Like they know that's all flesh.
Yeah.
You know.
Right.
It's funny.
And that's why I said we got to give Pastor Bishop Wooding, Patrick Wooding, his flowers. He has been single-handedly coming against that.
Yeah.
Number one, the Democratic Party and the homosexual thing. And he's a black man. He's been coming against. He's been speaking out about Jamal Bryant. I think Geno Jennings actually spoke out against him too.
Yeah, and they've been openly talking about the fraternities too.
Talking about he talked about the fraternity. And then there's another new channel on YouTube called The Christian Conservative, and he's a black man, and he talks about the allegiance to fraternities and the acceptance of the homosexual lifestyle. This time, first it was the white church, the Lutheran, the Presbyterians. Now it's made its way down to the black church. Jamal Bryant spearheading that and a couple others, but he's the major one. You know what I mean?
Yeah, man. Definitely something we gotta be praying up on and being aware of. All right, let's wrap it up there, man. Almost at 3 hours. Appreciate y'all for tuning in with us. Shout out to I see we had someone was throwing some stuff at us on YouTube. I totally missed it. Sorry, Angela Wills. Appreciate your comments over there. Again, guys, if you want to support what we do, link to the Patreon is in the description. Also, Cash App in the description. Get the merch on the website, jatan.com/shop. And like and share the video on your way out. Appreciate everybody. Love you guys. See you next time. Peace.
Young lion, go live, yeah. Young lion, you rich, yeah. This kingdom has room.